Sportsnet. Presented by Honda. At the Model Clearout event, it's the best time to team up with a Honda you'll love.
Warm day here in downtown Toronto. The roof is open. It's 25 Celsius, but it feels like 32. A little bit muggy down here. The Blue Jays looking for a sweep and looking for a 6-0 homestand if they can take care of Gabe Kapler's Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies still 3 back of Atlanta for top spot of the National League East, and here is the way they line them up this afternoon with Cesar Hernandez in the leadoff spot for the Phillies, and a guy who's been hot, a real key to their lineup. He also will take a walk when he gets on base, makes them a much better offensive team. And Buck, no matter who Wilson Ramos plays for, he seems to hurt the Blue Jays.
Yeah, he's a very good hitter with some power. He's gotten off to a good start here with the Phillies, hitting .400 in his brief time with Philadelphia. Marco Estrada will make his 23rd start of the season. Marco's now 35 years old. He hasn't faced the Phillies since June 15th of 2016 when he pitched against them in Philadelphia. But he has been throwing the ball much better of late. Over his last 11 starts, he's held the opponents to a .221 opponent's batting average. Much better location recently, and we've talked about the different injuries. He said that little glute problem that's been bothering him, the side muscle, has kept him from really driving through the zone, but he appears as though that's behind him now as he's throwing the ball much better of late. Defensively behind Marco, obviously the outfield is always important. He's a fly ball pitcher. Randal Grichuk has done a terrific job. This is his 500th career game. He hasn't committed an error since last July 2nd when he was playing with the Cardinals, a span of 150 games and 270 total chances. Randal is a terrific defender, whether in center field or in right field, and he's been a great asset defensively for the Blue Jays.
See Estrada with his Players Weekend nickname, a Stratosphere, as he gets set to face Cesar Hernandez, Rhys Hoskins, and Carlos Santana, and we are underway here at the ballpark. Lots of hats, lots of sunglasses here this afternoon on this warm summer day. 0-1 on the way. And a swing and a miss, and not the most authoritative swing there from Cesar Hernandez. It's 0-2.
Neither ball club did batting practice on the field today, and they will hit inside, but you just wonder how they're going to react to Estrada and his assortment of pitches. There's another high fastball. Danny Jansen catching Marco for just the second time, and obviously we put a lot of stock into the catcher because Marco never shakes off a pitch. The catcher calls the whole game.
Got it. Good changeup. Strikes out the first batter he faces.
Marco Estrada, that's his bread and butter pitch. Everybody knows that, and I don't care if you're looking for it. He does such a great job of selling it. There's the grip, and that grip is a 4-seam changeup grip. And because of that, it looks just like his fastball coming out of his hand. And it's very important. All of his pitches basically have 4-seam spin, so it all looks like a cue ball coming to home plate. You can't really pick up on which pitch it is.
One down. Here's Rhys Hoskins. Hoskins hitting in the 2 spot again. He drove in 3 runs for the Phillies yesterday, including a 2-run single in the 4th inning that at the time made it a 5-0 lead for the Phillies. But the Blue Jays just kept crawling back into it and eventually overtook the Phils, beat them 8-6 on that Aledmus Diaz 3-run double in the bottom of the 8th inning. A tremendously deflating loss for the Phillies, who are in the heat of a pennant race. See 3 on the left side against Hoskins. Gabe Kapler, though, an eternally upbeat guy. Got a chance to speak with him before the game today, and he said, we're in great position. We're resilient. We're feeling good. Fly ball to left field. McKinney is back, and he's running out of room. Hoskins hits it out. Number 26 on the season, and the Phillies strike early.
Marco Estrada is a fly ball pitcher, and he'll give up his share of home runs. Estrada has now given up 13 home runs in his last 12 starts. Just a fly ball to left field, and that's what Hoskins has done since he came up last year. His 30th home run of the season has given the Phillies a 1-0 lead, and ball out over the plate. Looked like it was a fastball that he hit it high and deep to left field. He's starting to swing the bat a little bit better. He had been mired in a extensive slump for a while, but as Dan mentioned, he had 3 ribbies in the game yesterday, finished up 1 for 4. Another look at the swing by Hoskins. He's got that distinct leg kick and really bounces on that back leg and then explodes into the hitting zone. John Maley is the hitting coach, and that's what he likes to see.
1 ball, 1 strike. Now the count on Carlos Santana, the first baseman for the Phillies, and a guy who's 4 for 7 with a home run in his career against Marco Estrada. Santana and Ramos, the next 2 hitters, are the guys with some pretty good numbers, and this changeup's hit a long way to right field, and it is going to go. Line drive home run, Santana. 2-0 Phillies.
Well, Santana has had success against Estrada in the past, and that's his 5th career hit against Marco and his 2nd career home run. In fact, he was sitting on the changeup. When you look at it, there's the changeup grip, and Santana has seen enough of this pitch, and boy, he waits on it down out over the plate and just drives it over the wall in right.
So now 5 for 8 with 2 homers in his career against Marco.
You can see he just dove out over the plate, stayed on that pitch, and was looking for the off-speed pitch.
So a good start for the Phillies on the heels of that loss in yesterday's game. Wilson Ramos is the batter, but he's 4 for 10 with a home run in his career against Estrada. 8 for 20 since coming over to the Phillies after hitting .297 with the Rays. Phillies don't hit for much of an average, but they do have power. They do have a lot of different guys who can hurt you with a long ball.
Yeah, and it's the 3rd time they have gone back-to-back with home runs this season. Santana was involved in May back-to-back with Franco, and Hoskins and Herrera went back-to-back in July versus the Dodgers.
Estrada's now given up 23 home runs on the season, 7 of them in his last 4 starts.
Ramos hit a home run against Marco last August. Tampa Bay. At the time, he was playing with Tampa Bay, and that came right here at Rogers Center.
2-2. Line to center field, and this ball get down for a base hit in front of Pilar. And the Phillies are squaring up Marco Estrada here in the early going.
Yeah, they are. He tried to elevate the fastball, and Ramos went up and got it. As you mentioned, he's always hit well against the Blue Jays, and he gets a hit in his first at bat. This is a fastball upstairs, but watch how he goes up and stays on top of it. He was able to get the barrel up to that ball, squares it up, and lines it into center.
So 2-0, a man at first, 1 out, and the batter is Nick Williams, the right fielder, hitting .261, and he's got some power. 17 home runs on the season.
The Phillies have come out swinging here in the first inning against Estrada. Mentioned Marco in his previous 11 starts had held the opponents to a .221 average. That tells me that he was locating his fastball and his changeup very effectively.
Very short lead by Ramos. Pitch up and in, a ball and a strike. Floyd alluded to it on the pregame show. Theoretically, you know, if a team were interested in Estrada, this would be his last start probably as a Blue Jay. You got to get a guy by August the 31st, get him on the roster for the postseason, but you got to be pitching well enough to warrant another team showing interest in you. And Estrada's had, by his own admission, has had some health issues this year, and he's had his ups and downs this year as well. Generally speaking, has pitched better recently than he did earlier in the season. Comes into the game 7-9 with an ERA of .488. Has won each of his last 2 starts, one against Kansas City, one against Baltimore. Now a fly ball in the air to deep right center field. It'll split the outfielders and skip up over the fence on a bounce, and that'll force Ramos to stop at third on a long double by Williams.
Well, Pete Walker, the pitching coach, is going to come out and have a chat. And you see John Gibbons looking at the lineup and see the relief corps he has available today. And Pete Walker's out as Nick Williams hits the double. It bounces over the wall for a ground rule double. We haven't seen any curveballs from Estrada yet, and that might be something they can go to, but they have come up with 4 hard hit balls in a row. And this one bounces over the wall. I don't know that Ramos was going to score anyway. He has really not run well in this series. He's been dealing with a hamstring. He was on the disabled list when the Phillies got him. And you can see he is just basically jogging around the bases. He's still not ready to turn it loose.
So second and third, one out, already 2-0 Phillies. And the batter was the DH today as Drupal Cabrera. And there's a curveball.
That was part of the message I'm sure Pete Walker took to the mound with him. Hey, man, we got to do something a little different here. And again, it's only the second time Danny Jansen has been behind the plate for an Estrada start.
Gabe Kapler rotating people through his DH spot here in this 3-game series. Maikel Franco the DH the first day, Rhys Hoskins the second day, as Drupal Cabrera here today. Of course, National League team playing under American League rules here in Toronto.
As Drupal Cabrera has a couple of home runs against Marco. He hit one in 2015 while playing for the Rays down in St. Pete. Hit one earlier this year. And the Blue Jays were at the Mets.
Kapler, first-year manager of the Phillies. And he's got them in contention. 69 and 60. They're in both the National League East race. They're 3 back there. They're 2 back in the wild card race. There's another curveball, and he gets Cabrera for the second out.
Yeah, there was something missing in those first 5 at bats, and that was the curveball. He used it to get ahead of Cabrera, and now he uses it to strike him out. But that's a very important pitch for Marco. You can't just avoid throwing it, and you can see how effective it is when he mixes it in.
So Estrada trying to minimize the damage here if he can get Franco, the third baseman. He was 1 for 4 yesterday and 0 for 4 on Friday night. He takes a fastball for a strike.
Franco didn't think so, and he has let the umpire know. Not always the best approach in your first at bat of the afternoon. A little bit of a cutter there as that missed down and away. The one thing encouraging for the Blue Jays is they've got a 5-game win streak, and they've outscored their opponents 31-13 during those 5 games. So, Dan, as you mentioned, if you can save these 2 runs, it'll go a long way enabling the Blue Jays to get back in it quickly.
Yeah, feeling good about their comeback chances after yesterday, no doubt. There's a good changeup down, and it's 1-2. Blue Jays sweeping Baltimore, taking the first 2 from Philadelphia, their first 5-game winning streak of the season. Last time they won 6 in a row was 2 years ago, back in 2016. One, 2. And that time Franco takes the changeup.
Right now, if I were Danny Jansen, I'd look to call that fastball up and in, try to get him to chase something, because he's really thinking about the changeup and the curveball. So you could elevate that fastball and try to get it to the inner part of the plate.
Just missed outside.
Through the fastball, went away and missed. The difference between that pitch away and inside is when it's inside, it sends kind of a panic message to the hitter, and he might chase it. The one away you can see much easier.
28 pitches and counting for Estrada. And number 29 will load the bases. And John Gibbons already looked at that lineup card once to see if he were to get somebody up and to make a move, where would it be and who would be best suited to get up. The Blue Jays have carried 8 relievers most of the season. They only, in quotes, only are carrying 7 right now. Teams kind of waffle back and forth between 7 and 8, but they're actually carrying 1 more bench player now than they typically have throughout the season. And they used 4 of their 7 relievers in yesterday's game: Petrichka, Meza, Biagini, and Giles. Down in the 8th spot today is Odubel Herrera.
Dane Johnson on the phone, and that sign right there is go easy. Just get up. Whoever's going to get up, they just want them to start to loosen up. So they say, okay, just want you to throw and watch the rest of this inning and see how it unfolds.
Justin Schaefer is the guy who's going easy. Back-to-back home runs to the second and third batters that Estrada faces today, and now the bases are loaded with 2 down. And a high strike makes it 2-1.
Gabe Kapler let the umpire know what he thought about that high strike. Chad Whitson is behind the plate today, and you could hear Whitson. He jumped right back on the manager. They don't have any old-fashioned bench jockeys anymore.
No Billy Martins or Earl Weavers, those kind of guys.
Gene Mock.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines from the dugout was, if you could see as good as you could hear, we wouldn't be having this problem.
Which was followed by a trip to the clubhouse for a shower, I would imagine.
Not all the time. The old-time umpires would give it right back to you. Said, if I'm going to be out of here for 9 innings, so are you.
2-2. Can Estrada get out of this with just 2 runs allowed? 34th pitch in the top of the first. Line to right field and caught by Grichuk, and the Phillies will leave the bases loaded. But they do some early damage off Marco Estrada. Rhys Hoskins lofts one to left. Carlos Santana rips one to right. 2-0 early. And Billy McKinney is in the lineup and in the leadoff spot again for the Blue Jays, and why not? The way that he's swinging the bat right now, maybe a bit surprising with the power that he has shown so far in his short time with the Blue Jays, with 3 home runs already. And of course, what can you say about Kendrys Morales that hasn't already been said? He is on a ridiculous run. It's a 9-game hitting streak. It's a 6-game home run streak. And he's up in the 3 spot. You see no Justin Smoak in the lineup today, so Morales up to 3rd. Kevin Pillar is in the cleanup spot this afternoon.
26-year-old Vince Velasquez will make his start this afternoon. Velasquez has really done a great job pitching on the road. Since the 5th of May at Washington, he's got a .234 earned run average. There's 31 hits in 8 road starts. He's done a great job of keeping the ball in the ballpark as well. Velasquez has allowed just 2 home runs.
McKinney looks at a strike. 7 for 20 as a Blue Jay, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. The numbers you see there include the 1-for-4 he had as a Yankee against the Blue Jays back at the beginning of the season. He'll be followed by Gurriel and Morales. Good breaking ball there. 0-2.
Velasquez has good stuff. He's a 4-pitch pitcher with a good fastball. We mentioned his home runs. He hasn't given up a home run since Aaron Judge hit a home run on the 25th of June. Doing a heck of a job, especially against power hitting teams like the Blue Jays.
He is also Aaron Sanchez's best friend in baseball. Sanchez is from Barstow, California, and Velasquez is from Pomona, California. Buck, as you know, they've known each other since they were kids.
Yeah, they played travel baseball together, and Velasquez was a terrific position player. He was a great shortstop in high school. His senior year in high school, he hit .608 and stole 18 bases, and Aaron remembers him as a position player. Said, man, he can really rake. He can absolutely hit. And now, of course, he's more concerned about preventing hits.
Two-two, and McKinney lifts a fly ball to left center field. And Hoskins gets called off by Herrera at the last moment, and the center fielder makes the catch. 1 down.
Well, fly balls here in the ballpark for somebody who hasn't been here a lot can be a problem on a sunny day like today. Odubel Herrera is their best outfielder, and you see he checks his cheat sheet all the time just to make sure he's standing in the right position to start in at bat. Making his 117th start today. He's committed just 2 errors. He's got great range. He can cover a lot of ground from gap to gap. And that's what the defenders are dealing with. That bright sun on a hazy afternoon here at Rogers Center.
Fastball for a strike to Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who's at second base today. Diaz at short, Martin at third. Travis not on the lineup this afternoon. Gurriel went 0 for 3 with a walk yesterday, and is now 1 for 7 so far in the series. On the appeal, he didn't go.
Gurriel making his 21st start at second base, and he has been equally comfortable, but I think he has a little bit more value as a shortstop. But then the Blue Jays are so deep in the minor leagues in middle infielders that they're going to move all these guys around to see how they might play out.
And at some point, you got to believe that an infielder will get traded for a pitcher or an outfielder, that they'll go from a position of strength to maybe more of a position of need.
That might be somebody on the major league team. I don't think they're going to deal any of their minor league prospects for a while till they find out who they have and what kind of players they are. It's the last thing you want to do is trade somebody that you're not really sure about as far as what his ceiling might be.
Inside, almost hit him, and you could hear Gurriel grunting as he just tried to get out of the way of that hard fastball.
Anticipating being hit by a pitch.
There's some giddy up on this fastball. 2-2. That's on a breaking ball, up and in, full count.
Yeah, he rushed his delivery a little bit, and anytime you do that, your body's out in front of your arm, and your arm will drag, and that'll cause you to hang that breaking ball.
Got kind of a little stutter step in the middle of his delivery as he makes his way to the plate.
Yeah, we'll see pitchers do that from time to time, especially athletic pitchers like Velasquez. We mentioned he's a position player. Of course, we see Marcus Stroman do that all the time when he's healthy. And if you're athletic and can maintain your balance, it's an effective way to do it.
That one got away from him, up and in, ball 4, and Gurriel will draw 1-out walk. And here comes the guy who keeps hitting the ball out of the ballpark. 6 games in a row, Kendrys Morales has hit a home run that ties a franchise record.
Yesterday, with a man aboard in the 4th inning, he gets a breaking ball off Nick Pivetta, and he has been squaring up those breaking balls. And that was something that really caused him problems early in this season. He was just waving at the breaking ball. Now his timing is perfect. One more for the record, indeed, as he has really been on some streak.
Jose Cruz Jr. hit a home run in 6 straight games late in the 2001 season. The major league record is 8. 3 players have had an 8-game streak. 3 others have had a 7-game streak. And Morales is one of 25 to have had a 6-game streak. 2-0.
The last player to hit home runs in 7 straight was Kevin Mensch. He did it in 2006 while playing with the Rangers. You hit 6 home runs in a month, you've had a good month. He's hit home runs in 6 straight, 7 home runs to be exact.
Right down the middle, 2-1. The 3 players who have done it 8 games in a row: Ken Griffey Jr., Don Mattingly, and first done it by Dale Long, and then Jim Thome, Barry Bonds, and as you mentioned, Kevin Mensch have had a 7-game streak. So only 6 times in history has someone had a longer streak than Morales is on right now. Can he keep it going here today?
Another thing that has really played into this success during the streak is his eye. Those pitches aren't even close, and he's not offering at it. Early in the season, he was waving at a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. Now he is confident, patient, and waiting for his pitch to hit.
2 changeups to start him, then a fastball down the middle to make it 2-1. Another changeup, and you got to believe Morales is sitting fastball here, 3-1. Something with a little wrinkle on it.
Good cut at that pitch. Might have been a bit of a cutter.
Kevin Pillar, who's in the cleanup spot for just the 2nd time in his big league career, waits on deck. Again, no Justin Smoke in the lineup today. Randall Grichuk is hitting 5th. That's a soft toss over to first there by Velasquez. That looked like I haven't made up my mind what pitch I want to throw yet.
Yeah. Just going to take a little delay here and check in on the runner at first.
And a fastball for strike 3 call, 2 down.
Kenvis was looking for something else. Obviously, he couldn't pull a trigger on that fastball. He took a fastball for strike 1 in the at-bat. And then this is another 4-seam fastball right over the heart of the plate. He had something off speed on his mind. You could see he just couldn't pull the trigger. He made up his mind he was going to get something off speed, and Velasquez crossed him up.
So 2 down, and here's Pillar, who was mentioned is in the cleanup spot for just the 2nd time in his big league career. The first was earlier this season, May the 5th at Tampa Bay. Popped him up down the right field line. Williams coming over, and he's not going to get there. And I don't think he picked that ball up right away. Took him a while to find it up in the sun.
Yeah, he was very late in starting after that ball. He reacted to the swing, headed in the direction he thought the ball was going. But I agree with you. I don't think he saw it off the bat. Bright hazy day here, and the reaction suggests he's not sure where the ball is because he didn't start running until he had raised his glove to shade his eyes from that bright sun.
Hazy afternoon here in Toronto, and it may be a break for the Blue Jays here. Pillar can take advantage of it. You know, if this were earlier in the season, even with Smoke out of the lineup, you might have seen somebody like Teoscar Hernandez hitting cleanup, but Teoscar's been struggling, so he's down in the 8th spot in the lineup today, and that's why you look at the lineup. This is kind of an unlikely cleanup hitter in Kevin Pillar.
Yeah, it sure is, but I think when you have Billy McKinney and Danny Jansen in the lineup, you move things around, as they have both been swinging the bat well, and just by mixing up the order, Kevin Pillar ended up in the cleanup spot.
And strike 3 called. Back-to-back strikeouts by Velasquez to get a Morales and Pillar. May still under the weather. We have another pinch hitter. Had Martin Gaillard yesterday. We've got Nikki Reyes with us today. Nikki.
Hi, Dan. Thanks. It's good to be back. Well, Tulowitzki explained earlier today why he's going to be missing the rest of the season. And basically, he said he wants to get to the point where he can go out every day, take BP, take ground balls, and all the rigors that go along with playing shortstop, come back the next day and not feel any pain. That there is the key. He said for now he's just focused on staying healthy, and he expects to be that at the start of spring training in 2019. As far as any haters who say that he might not be the same player when he comes back, he says bring it on. That just fires him up and will motivate him. So guys, I don't want to be the first one to start the Tulo bashing, but if it's going to help him, I guess I'm on board.
All right, Nikki, thank you. Yeah, it was a lengthy meeting with the media in the dugout before the game for Troy Tulowitzki as he and Marcus Stroman to get a visit from the skipper. Must have been interesting enough for Gibby to walk all the way from one end of the dugout down to the other to find out what's going on. But Tulowitzki talked about the time he's put in Florida on the backfields and so forth, and says he is still feeling discomfort at times in his heels. Had bone spurs removed from both heels in the offseason. He said there were some days he came off the field and said, I feel good and I think I can get back pretty soon. And then there were other days where it felt much worse, and there was just no ability in his mind to sustain it day after day after day where he felt he could play consistently. So he is, I guess, now officially not going to play the rest of the season. Yesterday John Gibbons said unlikely. Today it sounded more official. But Tulo said he fully expects to be healthy for spring training in 2019. Wants to get back, wants to play, and quote, welcomes any competition at shortstop. He's obviously aware. He's looking out to the field. He sees Diaz, he sees Gurriel, he knows who Bichette is, all this stuff. So, but he welcomes the competition at shortstop.
Yeah, and he characterizes himself as a shortstop. That's his position. That's where he's always played, and he respects his competition. But he still feels confident that if he is healthy, he can be the same Troy Tulowitzki that he's been throughout his career. But that's the big question, how healthy can he get? And he'll have to spend the offseason getting ready for next spring. Nobody knows until next spring, until he goes through the rigors of spring training once again. We all expect him to play shortstop this year.
Yeah, Diaz was brought in to be kind of an insurance policy at short, and then also maybe play some other spots on the infield. And it's Tulowitzki, who's very good buddies with Brandon Drury, tries out his glasses to see if their prescriptions are similar.
Yeah, Drury's been wearing those glasses for a while, and now he's going to have the athletic glasses the next few days, and he's been dealing with some vision problems. But it's just not a case of throwing on glasses, as we mentioned with Morales in spring training. He had a deficiency in his vision. He decided to wear glasses, and he never got comfortable with them. You can remember early in the season he was wearing them, and he'd have them on one at bat, take them off the next at bat, put them back on for the third at bat, and he just never got comfortable.
And ball four to walk Kingery here to lead off the second. After a very long top of the first for Marco Estrada, gave up back-to-back home runs, then loaded the bases before getting out of it without surrendering any further runs. But now he walks the leadoff hitter in the second and a guy with good speed in Kingery.
Yeah, and this is what the Phillies did yesterday with their number 9 hitter. Roman Quinn was in the lineup yesterday. He had a single in his first at bat, came around to score, had a 2-run double in his second at bat, and came around to score. They can do a lot of things in this lineup when that number 9 hitter gets on base, because Hernandez puts the bat in play. Then you've got the power hitting Hoskins and Santana behind him. Don't be surprised if they start the runner in this at bat.
Kingery 10 for 13 stealing bases on the season. Not going here. And again, Estrada has fallen behind a hitter. It's now 2-0.
Yeah, and he really utilized the slide step in that last pitch. And again, that's the importance of the threat of a stolen base. It makes a pitcher alter his delivery.
Three and 0. And they're starting to move around out of the bullpen again. Justin Schaefer was up briefly in the first. Blue Jays don't have an off day after today. They will head to Baltimore tonight and start a 3-game series against the Orioles, and an off day Thursday before a 3-game series in Miami. And obviously John Gibbons has to balance, does he think Estrada can right the ship versus blowing out his bullpen here today? There's ball 4. So back-to-back walks to open up the top of the second. Bringing up a guy who's already taken Estrada deep here this afternoon.
Rhys Hoskins with his 26th home run of the season in his first at bat. It's a high drive to left field. 39 degrees launch angle. It just sneaks over the fence in left field into the Blue Jays bullpen, 368 feet away. Big, powerful guy. He's got 29 doubles and 26 home runs. Now he has driven in 81. This is what they need from Hoskins because he has been slumping.
And interesting here, Danny Jansen's out there too, but Russell Martin's at third base today, and whenever he's at third and whoever the catcher is goes out to the mound, you in effect have 2 catchers out there because Russell gets in on that meeting as well.
Yeah, they have encouraged Russell to come in, especially when Jansen is catching. Danny's catching just the 9th game of his big league career, so just to make sure that Danny's thinking about all the right things, Russell's going to join in on that conversation.
Big hole on the right side with Gurriel, the second baseman, on the left side of the bag against Rhys Hoskins, and Estrada's cutter misses badly up and away for ball 1.
Now he's not really been in a real good delivery early in this game, and obviously as a result of that he's thrown 47 pitches.
3 walks already, including the first 2 batters here in the second.
This is not what we have seen from Marco lately. He's been able to throw strikes with all of his pitches. Went 5 1/3 last time out against Baltimore, 6 2/3 against Kansas City, and Schaefer's up for a second time. A little bit more urgency in his approach right now.
.2-0 changeup misses low, ball 3. Now if you're Hoskins, you got a guy who's struggling with his command. You don't want to let him off the hook or anything like that, but boy, if you're a big power hitter like Hoskins is, 2 men on, you get one right down the middle, you'd love to be hacking 3-0.
Yeah, he will have the green light for sure.
And he was, and he popped it up back of the plate. Jansen coming back, won't have a play.
Yeah, the Phillies just haven't scored enough runs to not let a power hitter like Hoskins swing 3-0, and Estrada is struggling mightily with his command, so Hoskins got a pretty good pitch to hit. The Phillies just haven't scored many runs. They got 5 in the game yesterday, would add a 6, but still lost 8-6 as their bullpen couldn't hold the lead.
Swinging on the 3-1, and he's popped it up. Gurriel having to go a long way because of where he was playing in the shift. That ball was all his all the way. He wasn't getting any help on that ball, but he makes the catch, 1 down.
Hoskins got a couple of high fastballs to hit. The home run he hit was a low fastball. We mentioned he has that leg kick, and sometimes it's hard for those leg kick guys to get on that high fastball.
So now Santana, who homered in his first at bat, number 19 on the season. And this is a guy who will take a walk with the best of them. So if Estrada's not going to be in the strike zone, Santana's not going to help him out. He has walked 91 times this season. Now back to our left, and it's 1-1. After this game, the Phillies will head home, and they'll start a week-long homestand. They've got the Nationals starting tomorrow, and then the Cubs. Their schedule really interesting in the last week and a half of the season, especially obviously if they are still right there with the Atlanta Braves. 7 of their last 11 are with Atlanta. And in between the 2 series with the Braves, they go to Colorado for 4. Santana lifts a ball in the air. Pillar's got room. He'll make the catch for the second out, and tagging at second, Kingery will come to third. First and third, 2 down.
Again, Estrada gets a big out. Both Hoskins and Santana fly ball outs, and now he can get out of it and keep this Phillies team. The Phillies have had the lead in 5 of their last 6 games, and they've coughed up those leads 4 different times. They've had the lead in 5 straight games, and they've lost 4 of those 5 games.
And a real gut punch in yesterday's game, leading 5-0, 6-3. And then the Blue Jays got 2 in the 7th on the home run by McKinney, and 3 in the 8th on the bases clearing double by Diaz. And it wound up beating them 8-6. Phillies, though, catching a break with Atlanta losing each of the last 2 days to the Marlins. Swing and a miss. 0-1 on Wilson Ramos.
You know what's difficult, Dan? It's difficult to win for the first time as a team. The Phillies have already won 3 more games this season than they won all year last year. So last year, when you're 31 games out, you know, so what? But now the expectations are sky high that this team's got a chance to go to the postseason.
Not that long ago, they were in first place, but 5-11 has knocked them down to second. But again, they're getting a break here or there out of town with the Braves losing the last couple of days, and nobody's really pulling away in the wild card race either.
The big number there is the run differential. They're being outscored by 40 runs. They have just not been able to put up big numbers offensively. And like I said, when you look at the standings and you're in first place and there's a bunch of young guys on your team, you go, man, can we really pull this thing off? Then the games become a little tighter.
Curveball to right field, racing over Grichuk, can't get there, and it's a fair ball. It'll skip up into the seats. Kingery will come in to score. Hernandez will have to stop at third. And a bloop RBI double for Ramos extends the lead to 3-0.
Well, Ramos is just one of those guys that can hit. It doesn't make any difference who he's playing for, where he's playing, but that little looper down the right side drops fair and bounces out of play. His 19th double. It cashes in Kingery from third. Estrada was just about out of the inning, and Grichuk, he can't get there in time. It's about a foot fair, and one bounce into the seats.
So 3-0 Philadelphia. Second and third, 2 down. Schaefer looks ready if needed in the bullpen. And a changeup swung on and missed by Nick Williams, who hit a double his first time up. Speaking of young teams trying to win, the Oakland A's got a little bad news today. Sean Manaea, the very talented left-hander, just went on the DL with a shoulder impingement. Bad time of the year for one of their important starting pitchers to go on the shelf.
Well, it sure is, and he's the one legitimate starter they have. The guy you would figure to open up a postseason series or maybe pitch in a wild card game, but a shoulder impingement at this point of the season is not good news. That will take longer than 10 days for sure.
Cut fastball misses just outside, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Oakland's still in a playoff position right now. They're 4 games ahead of Seattle for the second wild card spot. Meanwhile, Estrada trying to keep this at just a 3-run deficit here in the second inning. Changeup, swing and a miss, 2-2. It must look so hittable at times to the hitters, but they're just out in front.
Yeah, it looks like a fastball, and you swing at it as if it's a fastball, and it never gets to home.
Went back to the changeup, and it's lifted into left field for McKinney. Sunglasses down. That's all for the Phils. They get a run, though, and now lead 3-0.
manager tickets, enjoy check-in offers, exclusive content, and much more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today.
All right, Nikki, thank you. Bottom of the second inning. And it's a 3-0 lead for the Phillies over the Blue Jays. Blue Jays try to sweep this series and head out on the road on a winning note. Vince Velasquez with a couple of strikeouts in the bottom of the first. It'll be Randal Grichuk, Russell Martin, and Danny Jansen here in the bottom of the second. Grichuk hitting .228 with 17 homers. He's in right, Pilar's in center, McKinney's in left. Teoscar Hernandez DHing today. Morales at first. Justin Smoke, one of the guys on the bench, along with Curtis Granderson, Luke Maile, and Devin Travis. So there's two guys getting a day off, at least at the outset. Only going to get more crowded in September with some call-ups as well. There was a little bit of a stir last night when a report surfaced that Josh Donaldson's locker had, quote, been cleaned out in the clubhouse. And Donaldson released a statement today basically saying, I'm getting closer to playing and I asked them to send my stuff down so I can have what I need. So basically that was it, and perhaps he's getting closer to starting a rehab assignment down in Florida. Although again, I don't know if anybody knows for sure what the timetable is and when or even if he'll get back to the ball club this year.
No, he hasn't played since the end of May. And, you know, as you heard in reference to Troy Tulowitzki, you just don't know how your body's going to react once you start playing games again. And Donaldson's had that calf injury 2 different times and started out the season with a shoulder problem, and you just don't know how he's going to react to actual game action once again.
Grichuk fights off another one.
Blue Jays have had some pitches to hit. 93, 94 with the fastball. It's not really one of those electric fastballs, but they found a few good pitches to hit right back to the screen. Velasquez has had more than his share of injuries, going all the way back to his high school day. As a junior in high school, he had elbow problems. He had strained ligament. And then he would eventually have Tommy John surgery in 2010.
Wow. Right in on him, huh?
Yeah, in on his kitchen. Yeah. Velasquez also has had a groin injury, a lat strain, a tricep strain, and last August he had a surgery on his middle finger of his pitching hand, and that's an excuse me, look out. That ball was running in on his hands.
Pretty good arms in this Phillies rotation.
And they're young.
Yeah, some of them young, still figuring it out. Some of them young and already have figured it out, like Aaron Nola. And then the one veteran in Jake Arrieta to kind of mentor them through. Russell Martin on deck for the Blue Jays. 3-0 Phillies, bottom of the second.
There's another hanging pitch that's fouled back. And let's take a look at the young staff for the Philadelphia Phillies. Young starters. Zach Eflin is 24. Aaron Nola, he's going to be in that Cy Young race. He's just 25. Nick Pivetta, we saw yesterday, he's 25. And Velasquez, a senior member, if you will, but he's just 26.
Here comes the 9th pitch of this at bat, and a breaking ball misses inside, and Grichuk will draw a leadoff walk.
Again, there's another great example. Grichuk could not get the barrel out on Velasquez's fastball, and he walks him on a 3-2 slider. It's almost as if the pitchers aren't watching what's happening with the hitter at the plate. They're just throwing by the numbers. Okay, I should throw him a breaking ball now because I haven't thrown him one. You got to read what the batter's doing, and Grichuk had no chance on that inside fastball.
Russell Martin, who was the starting catcher Friday, starts at third base here today. And takes a little low, ball one. Really 3 catchers on the roster right now. Figures like Jansen will get most of the playing time the rest of the way. Martin here and there, Maley here and there, with Russell of course also getting time at least for the meantime at third base. Long look down to Louis Rivera, and again Russell Martin is one of the guys that John Gibbons will play hit and run with. Doesn't happen all that much in baseball anymore, but on this team Martin's a guy who you can hit and run with. Depends on the speed of the runner at first. Grichuk's got pretty good speed. Depends on the swing and miss ability of the pitcher, and Velasquez can throw it by people, but if you're going to see it, this might be the count to see it.
Yeah, 2-1 count, pretty good count, but Velasquez is so unpredictable as to which pitch he's going to throw.
Not going, and it's 3-1, and right now Velasquez starting to fight his command right now. Walked 1 in the first, walked the leadoff man here in the second, and he's behind on Martin.
And Rick Granite's the pitching coach in his first full season with Philadelphia. He split time last year between the bullpen coach and the pitching coach.
Full count. On deck is Danny Jansen, who continues to swing the bat very well. Had a couple of doubles in yesterday's game. Martin's drawn 53 walks on the season. Even though he hasn't hit well this year, he's got a .342 on base percentage. Pops this one up. Franco and Kingery both there, and it's the shortstop Kingery to make the play. 1 down. Bringing up Danny Jansen, who Buck really excelled on both sides of the ball, if you will.
Yeah. Yesterday he was playing in his 8th major league game, and in the first inning Cesar Hernandez had walked and Jansen throws him out as he was trying to steal. And then behind the plate he did a nice job calling a game, and then with the bat 2 more doubles for Jansen. He's got a knack for putting the bat on the ball, and Jansen has 5 doubles to this point, but both sides of his game have been very impressive early in his career.
Lifted into shallow center field. And jogging in Odubel Herrera, just like that, 2 down.
The 2018 Honda CR-V, where style and versatility come together.
Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez, Nicky Reyes with you at the ballpark this afternoon. The Blue Jays looking to sweep the Phillies, but down early by a score of 3-0. They got a man at first, 2 down for Teoscar Hernandez, who is hitting 8th for the 2nd day in a row. Today he finds himself in the DH spot.
Teoscar just has to make up his mind to forget about the breaking ball and look for a fastball. He's going to get a fastball from Velasquez, but you got to make sure it's a strike. Just narrow your focus.
Breaking ball for a strike, 1-1.
That's all right. It was a good take. He wasn't looking for that pitch, and you have to have that approach.
Fastball again. It says 93, 94. It looks like it's coming in harder than that.
Yeah, it's playing up for sure, because we have seen many pitches right out over the heart of the plate. The Blue Jay hitters have fouled straight back to the screen. It's not like it's lighting up the radar gun, but there's got to be some deception, a little bit of extra hop in that fastball, because many of these Blue Jay hitters have gotten good pitches to hit and not been able to square them up.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And he went around, chased a breaking ball outside. 3rd strikeout for Velasquez, and the Blue Jays will leave a man on in the bottom of the 2nd.
The Jays are currently down 3-0 to Philly. Well, a nice moment before the game as the team that represented Canada at the Little League World Series was introduced. The team from Wally, BC lost their opening game to Panama, then beat Spain with a thrilling extra innings walk-off, then beat Mexico before losing to Puerto Rico in the quarterfinals. Overall, though, a great showing from Canada, and I'm sure a moment they won't forget today.
Yeah, a special moment for the kids to stop by in Toronto on their way back out west. As Asdrubal Cabrera begins the top of the third with a liner into the right field corner, and he's on his way to second. And in there just ahead of the throw, didn't slide, kind of stutter stepped into the bag and actually made that a little bit closer than it needed to be. Congrats to Mike Marino, the head coach of the kids from Surrey, and Cabrera looks like he's grimacing a little bit, like he might have tweaked something on his way into second base.
Yeah, it looks like it's something to do with his back as he was reaching back there. He's all over this pitch and hooks it down the right field line. 6 hit already for the Phillies as they have scored 3 runs. They have 5 extra base hits against Marco Estrada, 2 home runs and 3 doubles.
Now a drive to deep left off the bat of Maikel Franco, and this one is gone. 3rd home run for the Phillies this afternoon to extend the lead to 5-0.
There's been a much better second half since Estrada came off the DL, but coming into this game, the Phillies have been all over him after the first batter struck out. Hoskins and Santana went back-to-back, and here in the third, Cabrera hits a double and Franco hits a 2-run home run. The Phillies look like they know what's coming today.
So they're bouncing back quite nicely from that tough defeat yesterday, blowing a 5-0 lead in yesterday's game. Got a 5-0 lead here early today. A lot of noise, a lot of smiles in that first base dugout right now. Home runs for Hoskins, Santana, and Franco. Here's Odubel Herrera. And Justin Schaefer's up for the 3rd inning in a row. Vince Velasquez has been staked to a nice lead by his teammates here early in this game. And a 3-1 count now on Herrera. Number 9 hitter Scott Kingery is next. Schaefer looks ready already. Didn't need long to get warm, being up for his 3rd time, and you can see that John Gibbons, is that going to be the end? Is ball 4 going to be the last pitch thrown by Estrada? And yes, indeed. A rough one for Marco Estrada today. 3 homers, 4 walks, and 2+ innings. And the Blue Jays already down by 5. Estrada knows what's coming.
Yeah, the 4 walks certainly uncharacteristic, but he just never could command anything and never had the ability to throw consistent strikes. So he'll look to the bullpen to hold it right here and give the offense a chance to come back.
right, Jamie, thank you. Tampa Bay is 69-61 on the season, and they're not going to be a playoff team this year. And, you know, Alex Cora could win Manager of the Year. Bob Melvin could win Manager of the Year. But the job that Kevin Cash has done with what he's had this year is, I think it's remarkable.
Yeah, he's done a great job. They've won 7 in a row going into this game today. And Boston has not been swept in a series of any length since last August. Blake Snell's on the mound too, and he has been terrific. He's not allowed a hit through 3 innings.
Justin Schaefer in for the Blue Jays, down 5-0. Runner at first, nobody out. Scott Kingery, the batter, and he gets jammed, pops it up on the infield for the first out. Saw a play like that, I don't know if it was yesterday or 2 days ago, where the batter didn't get out of the box, the runner didn't know what to do, and Jose Altuve let a ball like that drop, and they got a double play out of it. And that's why, and not every hitter, I don't think, realizes this. You got to run down the line, even on that ball. Otherwise, you're subjecting your team to a potential double play.
When Abner Doubleday put the rules together, that was one of the things he talked about.
Right.
Run the bases. It's not a long sprint, you know, a 30-yard sprint.
You know, first and second are bases loaded. It's an infield fly situation, but that rule does not apply with just a runner at first.
Yeah. Diaz was thinking about it. You can see him shuffle his feet, trying to figure out, if I let this bounce now.
And that's why I think he caught it the way he did, kind of hip high off to his left. I think he was considering kind of letting it hit his glove and drop to the ground, but at the last moment decided against it. Tough one for Marco Estrada.
Well, that's the real tough aspect of being a starting pitcher. When you do have a rough outing, you got to sit around for 4 days and wait for your next opportunity to play again. And those are a tough 4 days. Schaefer's making his 3rd appearance since coming up with the Blue Jays, and he has pitched at New York, made his debut against the Yankees, pitched an inning, allowed 1 hit, had the bases loaded, and pitched out of it. He's coming off a very good season in the minor leagues, and the book on him is he's a strike thrower.
Good time to be a guy in the minors putting up good numbers in the system right now, because you're going to get a look, and there will be others coming up in September who will get a look as well. And the focus of the organization has clearly shifted towards the future. The younger players now getting priority over some of the veterans in terms of opportunities.
Yeah, Schaefer had started out in New Hampshire. He was in Buffalo for 32 games with the Bisons, had a very good ERA, 147 over 32 games for Buffalo.
Fastball popped up, and it'll be Diaz again. 2 down.
Schaefer is 25. He'll turn 26 in September. Came out of the University of Florida, an 8th-round pick of the Blue Jays, and he's got some links to the old Blue Jays. He grew up with the Pat Borders family not far away. He's kind of a neighbor of Borders, and he was good friends with a couple of his sons.
Did a lot of work as a starter his first 2-3 years in the organization, but has transitioned into exclusively being a reliever the last 2 years. And the numbers, Buck, have really gotten a lot better, and that's not uncommon. When you take a starter who's maybe not quite cutting it, you put him in the bullpen, they might narrow down their pitch selection a little bit. The stuff plays up a little bit, and his numbers have been much better the last couple of years.
And 16 saves in the 2 stops this season in the minor leagues. Left that breaking ball up in a dangerous zone to a power hitter.
Guy who's already got a home run coming up for the 3rd time today. Hoskins homered in the first, popped up in the second. Pretty good looking pitch, doesn't get the call, and it's 3-0.
Yeah, 2 of those pitches looked like strikes, and Schaefer didn't get the call for either one of them.
And there's ball 4.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by Samsung Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. The camera reimagined. Available now.
With Buck Martinez and Nicky Reyes, I'm Dan Schulman. It's 5-0 Phillies over the Blue Jays. 2 on, 2 out. Top of the third as the Phillies try to salvage the final game of this series here in Toronto. Schaefer facing Carlos Santana, and he misses low, ball 1. Now the kids down in New Hampshire are at it again. Kevin Biggio just drove into Bo Bichette. Bichette doubled to get on. Biggio drove him home. Two guys having a really strong seasons down in the minor leagues. Nice play by Gurriel out at second. That'll retire Santana. And in the top of the third. 5-0 Phillies.
Salute the Canadian Armed Forces, and today they honor Master Corporal Adam Land. He served in the Canadian Armed Forces for 9 years as a weapons technician and has supported operations both home and abroad, most recently returning home from his first deployment to Latvia. Master Corporal Adam Land, today's Sunday salute.
And happy and proud to have him with us here this afternoon. 5-0 Phillies over the Blue Jays. Aledmus Diaz will lead off the bottom of the third. Batting ninth, playing short today. And he had the big game-winning 3-run double in the bottom of the eighth in yesterday's game. He'll be followed by Billy McKinney and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. And Diaz looking at his right hand. That right hand just kind of flew off the bat, and he looked down at it, kind of startled in the aftermath of that swing.
Take a look at the reaction after that first swing in this at bat, and I think it's more about slipping off the bat than anything. He was surprised how he didn't have a good grip on that bat. So he went back to get some more of that sticky pine tar stuff and looks down again at his gloves. Hot muggy day here today, and oftentimes hitters just don't have a real good grip, and they use that rubberized handle that they'll wrap those bats with to improve their grip.
To left center field, long run Herrera. But he is there for the first out.
That ball comes on a pitch earlier than 2 strikes. He might hit that ball out, but with 2 strikes and he got a breaking ball, kind of just put the ball in play and just hit a lazy fly ball to center field.
So back to the top of the order now for Billy McKinney, who hit a fly ball to center field his first time up. And he lines the ball to right field. That's down for a base hit. We'll get to the wall on a bounce. McKinney digging for second and in there with a double.
For Billy McKinney, that's his first double as a Blue Jay. His first big league double. He had 3 home runs, and he jumps all over this first pitch from Velasquez. Absolutely expecting to get a first pitch fastball with the Phillies leading 5-0. He drills it off the wall in right field. Well, he's got a nice tool set. McKinney runs well. We have seen his power. He's got 3 home runs, and now that line drive off the base of the wall in right. A 1-out double.
That'll bring up Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who walked in the first inning. And a breaking ball for a strike to Gurriel. One of the things we talked about Troy Tulowitzki a little bit earlier, one of the things that he was asked about was the young players that he's been watching on TV from afar. And he mentioned a few of them. He talked about Devin Travis being able to stay healthy and perform better. He talked about Aledmus Diaz improving so much from what he saw in the spring. But he really singled out Gurriel and said things like a huge talent, a really good kid, and a great work ethic. And I don't know that the work ethic of Gurriel is something that we've talked about enough, because everybody who talks about him talks about his willingness to learn, his willingness to be coached, his understanding that he's making some mistakes and he needs to clean up some things. But the effort to learn and get better certainly is there in Lourdes Gurriel.
Well, it sure is. And you know what? Obviously, with his brother playing in Houston and his father was a terrific player, he has a lot of resources at his disposal. And he and his brother speak almost every day about hitting, about playing, about how they're doing. And it's a good sounding board for a young player.
To deep right field, making the catch Williams, tagging McKinney. Strong throw, but a little bit late, and McKinney into third on the fly ball.
Again, another good example of the tool set for Billy McKinney. Once he recognized Williams was going to make the routine catch, he goes back to the bag. Watch him react to the ball in the air. Goes back, sizes it up, and then he sees it's going to be a catch. Goes back to tag up at second and advances. He moves up 90 feet, and even though there are 2 outs now, ball in the dirt, a bobble on the infield, you might be able to produce a run.
The batter is Kendrys Morales, who was called out on strikes his first time up. Again, sitting on that streak of a home run in 6 consecutive games right now. If he hits one today, it would be a new franchise record and put him within one of a major league record. They're going to hold up that sign every chance they get. And they know they're on TV. Fly ball deep right field. 7 games in a row with a home run for Kendrys Morales.
What a historic run for Kendrys Morales. He's as hot as you can get. A 2-run home run, and he got a fastball, and he hasn't missed many pitches during this hot streak. Just 1 away now from the all-time record, 8 consecutive games with a home run, and that sets a new franchise record, 7 straight. But boy, oh boy, has he been on fire. He got a fastball from Velasquez. And that's a special hug right there. The veteran Cuban player and the rookie Cuban player enjoying a special moment. He is highly regarded by his teammates as a terrific mentor, a great hitter, and just one of those guys that's anxious to share all of his experience.
Pretty highly regarded by his manager for that kind of stuff as well. Even when things were not going well at the beginning of the year, John Gibbons talked about what a professional and a hard worker Kendrys Morales is. The turnaround from early in the season to now is stunning in Kendrys Morales.
Boy, it sure is. And we talk about his balance, and there's no question about this home run. He stays back. There's no forward movement in his body, and he's using his hands to get to it, and that's a historic souvenir for those fans out in right.
He is now 1 game away from tying an all-time major league record. He is one of just 7 players ever to homer in 7 consecutive games. Pilar lifts one down the left field line and just foul.
Well, take a look at Morales' afternoon so far. In the first inning, Velasquez throws him a fastball. Watch where it is. Right down the middle. That's strike 3. And Morales put that in his book. And then he gets a fastball right down the middle. He wasn't going to take 2 of them. But that first at bat gave him some good information. He was all set for that next heater from Velasquez. And that might be an example of a veteran hitter setting up a young hitter saying, you know what, I can get that fastball by him. I got him the first time. That's not going to work.
Pilar lines the ball to left center field. Herrera racing over and makes a fine running catch. End of 3, but the Blue Jays are on the board. And Kendrys Morales becomes the first Blue Jay ever to homer in 7 consecutive games. It's 5-2.
It was the same every single day. In April, the OPS at 550. It jumped a bit in May and it started to take off in June. And in his last 66 games, he's now hit 17 home runs and has an OPS closing in on 1. But he was asked often early in the season, well, are you depressed? Do you think that this a long running situation, not getting any hits? But boy, oh boy, that's a beautiful swing right there. He gathers over that back leg and keeps his weight back. And when you're as big and strong as he is, and you can see him clapping out of the box, he knows what he's accomplished. Yesterday in our post-game interview with Martin Gaillard, he said, I didn't really realize that I was on the verge of a record, but now I understand. And certainly you could see his reaction after he hit the home run.
Well, and when the Blue Jays take the field in Baltimore tomorrow night, he'll be swinging for a chance to tie an all-time major league record.
Dale Long, Ken Griffey Jr., Don Mattingly, the only players that have hit in 8 straight games, hit home runs in 8 straight games.
There's Wilson Ramos, who's 2 for 2.
He's the first hitter to homer in 7 straight since Kevin Mensch did it in 2006. That alone is a terrific accomplishment. But he's the consummate pro.
Kind of interesting. The Blue Jays have had Lourdes Gurriel Jr. with one of the longest multi-hit streaks in Major League history. Just ended a couple of days ago. 11 games. Only 2 players had ever had a longer streak than that. And now Kendrys Morales with one of the longest consecutive streaks with a home run in Major League history. 1-2. Got it. Good sharp breaking ball there from Schaefer to get Ramos.
Take on any project with Home Hardware. proud partner of the Toronto Blue Jays. Here's how.
Getting brighter and brighter here at the ballpark. The sun is out in full force right now in downtown Toronto. The Blue Jays are down 5-2. And Nick Williams will be the batter. He has doubled and flied out. You know, the interesting thing about a home run streak, and especially, you know, given what you were just talking about, that he now realizes the significance, it has to be in your mind every time you come to the plate. He's a human being. It's human nature. I mean, you always want to help your team, but how can you not think about it? And most hitters will say the harder you try to hit a home run, the less likely you are to hit a home run.
Yeah, and I don't see any extra effort. I just think I see a good approach. He's not swinging any borderline pitches. And I go back to that first inning strikeout. He took a fastball right down the middle, had a different pitch on his mind. And he wasn't going to let another fastball go. But he had gone 12 games without a home run when he started this most recent streak. He hit that first home run off of Jay Happ at Yankee Stadium on the 19th of August. He took Happ deep. Then he hit 2 off Andrew Kashner. Dylan Bundy gave up 1. David Hess, Jake Arrieta, Nick Pivetta, and now Vince Velasquez.
Morales is 35 years of age, broke into back in 2003. This is his second year with the Blue Jays. Last year hit 250, 28 homers, 85 RBIs, had a 753 OPS. This year, at least coming into the day today, he has an 818 OPS, and there's a stat called OPS plus. How do you compare to average hitters in terms of OPS? 100 means you're average. Last year he was 97, so a little bit below average as a hitter compared to the rest of baseball. This year he's 124. He's 24% better than an average big league hitter in terms of OPS, and he has accomplished all of that in the last couple of months. Certainly didn't do it early in the season when he dug himself a big hole.
Well, another thing too, Dan, I think it's important, is that for his career, his OPS is almost 800, and his OPS plus is 114. I mean, he's been a good hitter for a long time, and you just have to imagine what he might have been had he not broken his leg back in 2010.
Yep.
When he was a dynamic hitter. He was coming off a 34 home run, 108 RBI season with the Angels, and then hit a walk-off grand slam, jumped on home plate and broke his leg, and missed all of the 2011 season. And he certainly was a first baseman at that time early in his career. And you got to believe that had he not had that leg injury, he'd have another 35, 40 home runs.
Was a part of the Kansas City Royals when they won the World Series back in 2015. He's got one more year on his contract at $12 million. Number of contracts expiring for the Blue Jays at the end of this season, but a number of the big ones continuing, including Troy Tulowitzki, Russell Martin, and Kendrys Morales. Tulowitzki's got 2 more years after this year. Martin's got 1, and as mentioned, Morales has 1 more. Here he comes at first, and he'll make the play unassisted. Nice inning for Justin Schaefer. Blue Jays coming back up.
here, gone. Get up, ball, get up, get out of here, gone.
Hey fans, you know what time it is. Junior J's Back to School Day presented by Boston Pizza. It's on Sunday, September 9th when the Jays take on Cleveland. The first 20,000 fans, and not just kids because everyone wants one of these, will receive a Buck Martinez Get Up alarm clock. Go to BlueJays.com for tickets.
If I'm not there that day,
I'll save you
can
one.
you grab
yeah.
me one? Randall Grichuk looks at a strike. Now, serious question. Is that from a home run, or did you do that call specifically for the alarm clock?
I did that
That's
for the
specifically
alarm
for the alarm clock.
Yeah.
Well, that makes it twice as special. 0-2.
Customized.
Now, I'd be really impressed if you had get up, Billy, get up. Like if you had kids' names in there on everyone.
That's coming next.
Yeah.
Go back to bed. It's snowing.
Velasquez makes quick work of Grichuk, one down.
The Slooper Slow-Mo is brought to you by Samsung Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus, the camera reimagined, available now. This is the changeup from Velasquez, but watch the dramatic movement. Grichuk with 2 strikes swings over the top of it. That had a lot of movement down and in. With 2 strikes, a changeup that moves that dramatically is a very effective pitch for Velasquez.
Russell Martin doesn't go around. Martin popped up his first time up. Well, let's see if the Blue Jays got another comeback in them here today. They took the first couple of steps back after the home run by Morales. The Blue Jays, actually, for a team that obviously hasn't had the kind of season they would have liked, they've got 35 come from behind wins this year. That's one of the highest totals in baseball.
Well, more than half of their wins have been come from behind wins. They have just 60 wins on the season. There are a lot of subtle things that this ball club has done well that don't really translate into wins and losses. And you talked about the home runs, their ability to hit with runners in scoring position. And there's a lot of good things that have happened.
The second baseman Hernandez up with it, and he throws out Martin. And the Blue Jays hit the road to go to Baltimore. Pitching, the pitchers for the Blue Jays are Sam Gaviglio, Thomas Pannone, and Ryan Borucki. So there's Borucki and Pannone. Pannone will get a chance to make his second big league start. And he'll face the same team he faced in the first one when he took a no-hitter into the 7th against the Orioles.
First start was pretty good.
Yeah.
Baltimore's playing the Sunday night game tonight against New York, so they'll kind of have a short night. The Yankees and the Orioles will play later on tonight.
Interesting, in talking to Pannone, he hardly threw the curveball, which is a big-time pitch for him, but an all right-handed lineup, and he said he just didn't have the feel for it. He hit a batter with a curveball early. So he got through 6 innings of no-hit ball, basically with 2 pitches, fastball, changeup, in his first ever major league start, and kind of made him feel like, you know what, I think I can compete up here. Real boost of confidence for him. Franco makes the catch to retire Jansen. End of 4, 5-2 Phillies. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Here are Jamie Campbell and Kevin Barker in the Samsung broadcast studio. And it's a game changer. Get ready for a refined travel experience. Visit 787.westjet.com to see the whole story. Nice crowd out on the WestJet flight deck, as always, and a nice crowd here this afternoon enjoying the sunshine and the warmth, and hoping the Blue Jays can make a comeback in this game. 5-2, the Phillies leading the Blue Jays. That's my dad.
No, I recognize your dad. That's good of you to recognize
That's
him.
my dad. That's my dad on the right with his buddy Bernie here watching the ball game today.
That's awesome. Good day for a ball game.
Yep. Two guys who love their baseball. Here's Mike Alfranco. He has walked and homered. First pitch swinging, and he pops it a mile high. Martin battling the sun. Back at third, makes the catch. And Tim Meza now starting to warm up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays, and Justin Schaefer doing a nice job out there.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Meza worked 2 innings in the game yesterday, threw just 18 pitches. Schaefer, his longest outing this season, 3 innings of work. That was on the 15th of May when he was still at New Hampshire in Double-A. He also threw a season-high 49 pitches on the 23rd of June when he was in Buffalo. Those are the longest outings as far as innings and pitches go. It's on 28 pitches so far in this outing.
Odubel Herrera has lined out to right field, and he's also drawn a walk. 5 runs on 7 hits for the Phillies. They've hit 3 homers. 2 runs on 2 hits for the Blue Jays. Their home run belongs to Kendrys Morales.
Well, it's imperative that the Blue Jays bullpen keeps the Phillies in check right now and gives the Blue Jays a chance to get back in. The Jays only have 2 hits. A double by Billy McKinney and the 2-run home run by Morales. But as we mentioned, the Phillies have had the lead in the last 5 games they've played, and they've lost 4 of those 5 games. They had a 5-0 lead yesterday and coughed it up. You know, it's really interesting. If the Braves would go ahead and win this division, the Blue Jays and the Mets will have had a lot to say in the division winner. The Braves are 14-6 against the Mets and the Blue Jays, while the Phillies are 6-12. They haven't played well against the Blue Jays or the Mets, and that is the difference in the standings as we speak.
Braves and the Marlins are scoreless right now in the 5th. Kevin Gausman, who was picked up at the deadline by Atlanta, is having a very nice afternoon for the Braves. Fly ball right center field. Pilar and Grichuk both closing in on it. It'll be Pilar.
This 4K broadcast is brought to you by the Samsung QLED TV. See nothing else.
Sunday afternoon at the ballpark. Phillies and Blue Jays wrapping up the series. Well, we saw some sunflower seed games for the Blue Jays yesterday. Now we got some bubblegum hijinks on the Phillies side. You do have to stay sane through a long season, right?
Well, some of us try.
Yeah. Do they still do hot foots, or is it hot feet? Hot foots, I guess. You know, when they light the guy's shoes on a long time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that used to happen all the time, right?
That used to be a big diversion. Yeah, guys used to sneak yards underneath the benches just to light up somebody's shoestrings. Silliness, huh?
Pranksters love messing with the serious guys more often.
Oh,
too.
absolutely. The guys that, you know, they're real particular about their uniform, and they wear it a certain way. They shine their shoes, and, you know, that was the best one. Get somebody to mess up your perfectly shined shoes.
Nobody messes with him.
No. He's off limits.
Yeah. Three and one on Kingery. 2 down and the base is empty. 36 pitches so far for Justin Schaefer. Gotten 8 outs. Morales into foul territory, and he's there. 3 up, 3 down. Blue Jays coming up, bottom 5.
Canada, and all season long we celebrate Unstoppable Kids in Jays Care programs. Visit jayscare.com/unstoppablekids to support and learn more. And guys, one more note. I was at the Jays Charity Golf Classic on Thursday, and I spoke to Cito Gaston, of course, about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and he had nothing but great things to say about the kid. He's very optimistic about what he can contribute in the big leagues, and he said that he feels that this Jays team isn't far off. They will be back in contention in a couple of years. And just one more note about the Charity Golf Classic. They raised nearly $950,000 for such a great cause. Guys?
Nice, Nikki. Thank you very much. And yeah, everybody's talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Guys who are playing now, guys who used to play, used to coach, used to manage. When teams come into Toronto and broadcasters from the other team say, hey, what's going on? Tell us the story. They're asking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They're buying jerseys already with Guerrero's name on the back.
Yeah, he's a very special young player, and the emphasis on young. He's just tearing it up. He's 5.5 years younger than the average player in the International League, where he's playing right now with Buffalo. And he's holding his own.
When the Blue Jays report spring training next year, he will still be 19 years old. He'll turn 20 in mid-March as Teoscar Hernandez strikes out. And coming into the game today, Guerrero was hitting .372 since he was promoted to AAA with an OPS over 1,000. He has not lost a whole lot on his numbers since coming up from AA to AAA. On the season, in 87 games, he's hitting .394, 18 homers, an OPS of 1,100. There's a liner in the left field, and Diaz has himself a base hit. And maybe the most impressive thing about Guerrero, 36 strikeouts, 36 walks in 87 games. Same number of walks as strikeouts.
Yeah, he's not nearly the same type of hitter his father was, because Senior was a wild swinger, and you know, he would hit balls anywhere, out of the zone, bouncing at home. He would hit them anywhere. But Junior is a much more disciplined hitter.
Billy McKinney had a double his last time up. He's 1 for 2.
You know, one more thought about Guerrero. He's got a chance to lead the minors in batting average this year. Bichette led last year in the minor leagues. So you could have the leading hitters in the minors in back-to-back seasons in your minor league system.
1-1 on to McKinney. As a Blue Jay now, he's 8 for 22, including the 3 home runs. Well, the Blue Jays farm system not only getting stronger because of players that were already in the organization, but some of the trades. If you look at MLB.com and the pipeline, MLB pipeline and that sort of thing, you can see some of the guys they picked up in the trades have wound up in their top 30. A guy like Espinal, who they got in the Pierce deal, Perez, who they got in the Osuna deal, McKinney, although McKinney's now in the big leagues, but they may, in those trades, they may not have added to the upper tier of their farm system, but they have added to the depth of their farm system. And if you talk to Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins, you can never have enough. Like, you just, whatever you've got, you need more, because you always need a contingency plan A, B, and C. And those who rank farm systems are looking quite favorably on the Blue Jays system right now. Now, a lot of that has to do with Guerrero and Bichette. They're seen as 2 of the top 10 prospects in baseball. But again, with the improvement in the depth, you've seen in recent years the Blue Jays farm system go from the mid to high 20s into the teens, into the single digits. Barucki, Pannone, Danny Jansen's obviously a big part of that. When Jansen became what it appears he now is, beginning of last year, that elevated the farm system as well. And this week, The Athletic released its ranking of farm systems. Jim Bowden, former GM, does a lot of good work on a lot of different platforms around baseball, and these were his rankings of the top farm systems, and he's got them 3rd behind only the Padres and the Braves.
Yeah, and they are getting layers of players, and that's what's important, because you want to stack them up at each level of your minor league system, because everybody's not going to come through. And everybody's not going to have a straight line progression to the major leagues. There's going to be some setbacks. There's going to be guys that leapfrog over some prospects. But with Barucki and Pannone, 2 young lefties in your rotation, that certainly bodes well for the future.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Give me a guy who we don't talk about, like not a Guerrero or Bichette, a guy who doesn't get talked about all that often in the farm system, who you've heard some really good things about.
Kevin Smith, shortstop, who's playing in Dunedin right now. He's a college player and a very advanced player, and you know, and Jordan Groshans, who's in the Gulf Coast League, has been consistent with his ability to drive in runs. But you know, another guy that we don't think about, and why should you? He's in his first season, is Conant, and I think he's a very good-looking outfield prospect, and he's left-handed, and he's a power hitter, has been throughout his college career. But they're a ways away, and of course Nate Pearson is the guy that everybody has their eye on. And I saw him throw in spring training, in a game in spring training prior to his injury. But he's an impressive young man as well. Big, strong, 6'6", big body, 240 pounds. The kind of guy that makes you think ace.
2 on, 1 out, 5-2 Phillies, and an 0-2 count on Gurriel. Tried to check the swing, and he did. Boy, that's pretty impressive. That, I mean, he was going after that ball, and it was coming in fast, and he managed to put the brakes on.
Yeah, this is all about strong hands, but that was very close to a swing. That could have gone either way.
One, 2. Up high.
This is the instincts we have seen grow as Gurriel gets more work in the big leagues. That's Luis Garcia, the big right-hander, loosening up for Philly. But Gurriel understands how to hit and when to hit. He's showing great patience in this pivotal at bat right here.
You like him in the 2 spot?
You know what? We have seen him all over in the lineup, and I just think he's one of those guys you have to see hit more. I think he's going to develop more power. I just think he's a very good hitter, and it doesn't make any difference where he's hitting just now. So young in his career.
Full count now. And he got him. Big cut. And he strikes out 2 down. That will bring out Kendrys Morales, who last time up homered again. Homering in his 7th consecutive game. And becoming just the 7th player ever to have a streak that long. He's now 1 shy of a major league record.
phenomenal accomplishment for Morales, especially given the season he's had, but he has stayed on it. And before we see this at bat, Rick Kranitz is going to go out and have a chat with Velasquez.
Saying, you know, this guy's kind of hot right now.
Yeah, you know, this guy's a pretty good hitter. But I think this is a good time. So what Kranitz is doing now is he's taking the responsibility away from the pitcher and the catcher. Here's what I think's working, and you can see he's talking as much to Alfaro as he is to Velasquez. And it's a good move by the pitching coach, because I think what he's doing right here is he's saying, this is on me. This is what I think will work. So you don't have to put any onus on the catcher to make a good call. Kranitz has taken care of that. Now all the pitcher has to do is execute in that game plan. So he doesn't have to think about whether or not it's the right pitch to throw. He's already been given that information by his pitching coach.
Gabe Kapler getting the lowdown on the conversation. 2 on, 2 out. And a 5-2 lead for the Phillies. One of the things about Morales, if you walk into the clubhouse and he's won for his last 30, or if you walk in and he's homered in 6 consecutive games, the same guy sitting in his locker in terms of his demeanor.
Yeah, absolutely. He extends a hand. He says hello. He always looks you in the eye. But he's always the same. He's a professional baseball player.
Kingery up with a ground ball, and that'll end the inning. 2 men left on by the Blue Jays, end of 5, and the Phillies still lead 5-2.
It's time to get that 649 feeling.
Not the kind of afternoon that Marco Estrada was hoping for. Just 2+ innings. He surrendered 3 home runs and 5 runs in all on 7 hits today.
Yeah, he had been much better than that, and there were high expectations for Marco coming into this game, but the Phillies jumped on him quick. They had back-to-back home runs. The number 2, number 3 hitters, Hoskins and Santana, went back-to-back in the first, and then Franco hit a 2-run home run in the third. Tim Mesa, he had a good outing yesterday. 2 innings, no hits, no runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. And he only threw 18 pitches. I think this is a little bit of a test for the pitching coach and the manager, just to see what kind of stuff Mesa has in back-to-back outings. This will be his 21st appearance of the season. He was good yesterday. Let's see if he's got the same stuff pitching in back-to-back games.
He'll get the top of the Phillies lineup. Philadelphia up 5-2. And Cesar Hernandez leads it off, takes outside, ball 1. Hernandez, Hoskins, and Santana. Down to third, 1 hopper, backhanded stop Martin. Nice play, 1 down.
The 2018 Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
Enjoying the warm weather and the sunshine here in downtown Toronto. The Blue Jays trailing the Phillies 5-2. Jays heading out on the road after this game today. And when they get back, it'll be Labor Day. Tampa Bay and Cleveland in here on the next homestand. Just 2 homestands left after this one. Tampa Bay and Cleveland on the next one, and then the Rays again along with the Astros on the last homestand of the season.
How about that? Winding down quickly. When the Blue Jays come back, it'll be September.
There's always interest in this kind of thing, but I think this year maybe more than most others, whether it's Instructional League, Arizona Fall League, Winter Ball, I think Blue Jays fans are going to be so in tune with and interested in what's happening down on the minor league level. Who's still playing? Who's doing well? Who's getting healthy? Because the focus is on the future a little bit more. And I think, and there are a lot of media people I think who do a great job covering the minor league systems. And I think fans are all over that stuff right now. They know who's down on the farm.
Yeah, there's so many different outlets that cover the minor league system. MILB is a terrific resource for watching the minor league players. You can check in on every organization, every team in those respective organizations, and you can track every player.
Well, as everybody knows, it's been a great year for the Blue Jays AA affiliate, the Fisher Cats in New Hampshire, who have clinched a playoff spot, and they had 6 All-Stars. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is one of them, even though he's gone on to AAA now. Bo Bichette, Kevin DiBiggio there, Jonathan Davis, Harold Ramirez, a guy you don't hear that much about. He's had a good year, and Jordan Romano as well. Yeah,
it's been a terrific season for the minor leagues, and of course the marquee team is that AA team. Bichette hitting .276 with 38 doubles, 6 triples, 10 homers, and 68 RBIs. And Kevin Biggio, 93 ribbies and 26 home runs. And Harold Ramirez has got a chance to set the franchise record in AA for batting average. Ramirez has done a great job, but just really kind of getting comfortable in the organization.
Jordan Romano's a Canadian kid. He's from Markham, Ontario, 10th round pick back in 2014. And including 1 start at Buffalo this year, he's 12-7 with a .371 ERA. Strikeout to walk ratio of almost 3-1. Popped him up. Gurriel going out. Grichuk racing in, and Grichuk will make the sliding catch. Boy, it would have been a tricky play for either one of them, but Grichuk called him off, and he got out of there.
We had mentioned how well Grichuk has played defensively going all the way back to last July. He has not committed an error coming into this game in 150 games in the outfield. And he takes charge of this. Ball popped in the air. Tougher play for the outfielder running, or the infielder running away from the infield, but Grichuk calls off Gurriel and makes the sliding catch. Gurriel gets out of the way to free up Grichuk to make that catch.
So 2 down. Good communication there between Gurriel and Grichuk, and here's Ramos. You know, one other guy, Buck, I'm starting to hear a little bit more about, people talking about him down on the minors a little bit more, is another pitcher, Patrick Murphy from Chandler, Arizona, 3rd round pick back in 2013. Had a great year at Dunedin. I think he's now at AA with New Hampshire. He's made 1 start with the Fisher Cats, and he's put up some big numbers this year. 10-5, .267 ERA, and 25 starts. There's a base hit through the left side for Ramos. He's 3 for 4.
Ramos can really hit. He's had the hit tool going for a long time. He's had 3 hits today, including an RBI double. He's a big guy, and he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, but he's gotten off to a great start with the Phillies. He now has 11 hits as a Philly in 24 at-bats. That's the slider that doesn't get down and in far enough. And Ramos picks up his 3rd hit of the afternoon.
And Jake Petrichka now has started to throw in the bullpen. Two out, 2 on, at a lefty-lefty matchup here with Nick Williams, who's 1 for 3 and takes a fastball in for a strike.
I'm going to give you 2 more names way down in Bluefield in the rookie league. Alejandro Kirk and Gabe Moreno. Kirk is 19, Moreno's 18. They're both catchers. and they're both hitting well over 300. Actually, Moreno has dropped under 300, but Kirk is hitting 355 with 10 doubles, a triple, 10 home runs, and 57 RBIs in 56 games. And he's just 19. So the catching core seems to be really deep in the minor leagues, going all the way down to Bluefield.
How often when you go to spring training do you go over to the Matic complex, to the minor league complex?
At least once a week, twice a week. Go over and just put faces to names. Want to see guys and see if they're what you expected they would be. It's always good too to catch up with the coaches and the instructors. There's so many guys that I played with that are now instructors and coaches in the minor league system. Ken Huckabee is the catching coordinator. Vince Horstman, the Double-A pitching coach. Bob Stanley, the Triple-A pitching coach. Daryl Knowles is the rehab coordinator down in Dunedin, a former big league pitcher himself. Blue Jays are pretty strong in their coaches in the minor leagues.
2-2. And another play, tricky backhanded hop again. Martin makes another good play, and that's all for the Phillies. They'll leave a couple of men on. We'll see Martin in the bottom half as well. Kevin Pillar is going to lead it off. Randall Grichuk due up second, and then Russell Martin coming up third. Through 5 innings, 84 pitches. End of his day, but he does surrender just the 2 runs.
And the home run was this the 3rd home run he has given up on the road this season. In fact, it was the 1st home run he has surrendered since June when Aaron Judge took him deep. He's done a good job of keeping the ball in the yard, and he'll turn things over to Luis Garcia, making his 46th appearance of the season. And the Phillies have had trouble holding leads. Garcia pitched 2/3 of an inning here on Friday night. Faced 2 batters and got them both to pop out.
4-5-6 in the Blue Jay lineup. Kevin Pillar leads it off. He's 0 for 2, a strikeout, and he's lined out to center field. Still a ways to go in this one. Blue Jays pulled off a comeback win yesterday.
Garcia's got a good fastball, an average just over 86 miles an hour. He also throws a slider and a split.
Fastball grounded for the shortstop. Kingery to his left, on to first. Big stretch by Santana.
Beauty Tone is the official paint of the Toronto Blue Jays. Only available at Home Hardware. Here's how.
Dan Schulman, to Buck Martinez, and Nicky Reyes with you here at the ballpark. Beautiful afternoon. Hope it's nice wherever you are. Here's Randal Grichuk. He's walked and struck out. Look out. Almost got hit by that breaking ball. Grichuk's had an interesting first season with the Blue Jays. Some injuries back in the spring. Very slow start. A knee injury at the end of April. Came back in early June. Got hot as soon as he got back and has kind of had some peaks and valleys over the last few weeks. He lines the ball into center field, a base hit. Grichuk just turned 27 years of age a few days ago, and I think he should look ahead to 2019 again, which is a natural tendency right now for Blue Jays fans. This guy certainly fits into the picture somewhere.
Yes, he does, and I think he's been a much better player in the second half just by his numbers. But all along, he, like Morales, never really deviated, even though he got off to such a terrible start. He never took his hitting woes with him to the field. Played very good outfield all season long. And you know, he's got 17 home runs. He had a career high 24 home runs 2 years ago in St. Louis. But I think he's just hitting the prime of his career, and I think this is a good fit for him here in Toronto.
Martin's popped up and grounded out. Grichuk decent speed at first. Blue Jays down 5-2, bottom of the sixth, being out hit 8-4.
There's that 97-mile-an-hour heater from Garcia.
Some power arms coming out of that Phillies bullpen. Haven't been able to hold leads as well recently, though, as they did earlier in the season. One of the reasons why. A guy who got knocked around a little bit yesterday, Sir Anthony Dominguez, who was almost unhittable when he came up to the majors and elevated himself quickly into a closer's role. But he's been up and down lately. He didn't give up the Diaz double yesterday. Victor Arano did, but it was Dominguez who surrendered a hit and a walk and hit a batter to load the bases and eventually got himself taken out of the game. To right field, and that's going to get down for a base hit. Grichuk to second on a single by Martin.
Well, the Blue Jays are playing with a lot of spirit, as we witnessed yesterday. We're down 5-0 and came back. They won their 35th game coming from behind, and Rick Kranitz is going to get the bullpen working. But Russell, with a good inside-out swing, gets that ball up out over the plate and cuts it into right field for a base hit. So back-to-back one-out singles for the Blue Jays. They have something going now, and Danny Jansen, who's been swinging the bat well since he's come up from the minors, will bat.
Jansen's 0 for 2 today. Fly ball and a pop-up. Had a couple of doubles. Was also hit by a pitch yesterday. Hit by a 98-mile-an-hour fastball on the left elbow, but able to be back in there today. Jays trying to peck away here at this 3-run deficit. Got a couple of men on last inning, but couldn't cash them in. Slider for a strike. Grichuk is on his way to third, and he's going to be tagged out. 2-5 on the putout, trying to advance.
Ramos has a very strong arm, and he really got to that ball quickly. It was in the dirt. Not a bad read by Grichuk. Just didn't know how far away it was going to bounce from the catcher. Watch Grichuk, top of your screen. He's going to read the ball in the dirt, and then he breaks immediately, but Ramos is on it, throws a strike to Franco at third. Blue Jays are having a look at the slide at third base.
Yeah, Grichuk still standing at third base as if expecting that he got his hand around there and he feels he might have beaten it. He might have beaten it.
He might have beaten it.
Yeah.
Franco tagged him in the chest, but that left hand may have gotten on the base before the tag was applied.
No tag yet.
They're going to have a look at it. It's that close.
And right away he looks into the dugout as soon as the out call is recorded, and he never left third.
Well, the umpire there, Brian Knight, made the call. The crew chief, the first base umpire, Jerry Davis, he's on the headset with New York, and they're reviewing this play. But Grichuk used that swim move and takes the hand away, and then Franco tries to tag him in the chest. He extends his right hand and then kind of grabs the base with the right hand behind Franco, and then has it. As the right hand slides off, the left hand replaced it.
Unless the glove got the right arm earlier, but it doesn't look like it did. It looks like Grichuk was actually in there well ahead of the tag. If the tag does not happen until there.
That's going to be a hard one to overturn, I think, because we haven't had a real definitive view of whether or not Grichuk beat the tag. It looked like it was late, but in order to get this play overturned, there's got to be a lot of evidence in New York.
Wow. And it's an angry crowd right now. I think he probably got in there before he got tagged, but I think you're right. There just wasn't an angle to overturn the call, and there's got to be definitive evidence. And this is a really angry crowd right now after that call. They saw the replays you saw at home, and it looked like he was safe. Of course, the guys here are not the guys who made the call. The guy, it's an umpire in New York in the replay command center who made the call. But it goes against the Blue Jays. Now Jansen lifts a fly ball to right field, and just like that, what it looks like, or what looked like a promising inning, ends. Their talent, they're in the fight of their lives right now just to make the postseason. They're in third place in the National League West, 2.5 back of both Arizona and Colorado, and they're also 2.5 back in the wild card race with a couple of teams to pass to get in there. They'll take on the Padres, and you can see it after our game today right here on Sportsnet.
And hopefully the lights won't go out at Dodger Stadium like they did last night. That was really unusual to see that happen mid-inning. Jake Petrichka takes over here to start the 7th. Tim Meza with another good outing, back-to-back good outings for Meza. Petrichka making his 30th appearance of the season. He pitched an inning through 11 pitches in the game yesterday. And he's really thrown the ball well of late.
5-2 Phillies. Blue Jays taking the first 2 games of this series, and the Jays are on a season-long 5-game winning streak. That's in jeopardy right now, given the way that this one has gone so far, as Drupal Cabrera will lead it off for the Phils. A strikeout, a double, and a ground out.
The StatCast AI is powered by AWS. We thought we'd show you where the defense is aligned for Cabrera. Martin is the lone defender on the third base side of second. Diaz, the shortstop, straight away behind second. Gurriel's out and right.
Cabrera shows bunt. Got out of there in time. Takes it inside. A ball and a strike. I think we'll see a bunch of trade, not Blue Jays, but overall. I think we'll see some trades between now and August 31st.
Probably a few. I don't expect to see a lot because it takes a lot to pull off a trade this time of the year. If you get another team in there and claiming somebody before the real team that wants him gets to him, so it's difficult to really pull off a trade at this time of the season.
Every now and again, the team will do it. It'll have a big impact. And in fact, maybe the most significant trade that happened last year during the baseball season happened on August 31st and happened, I believe, literally like 30 seconds before the deadline, and that was Justin Verlander being picked up by Houston.
Verlander had vetoed trades earlier in the season before that August 31st deadline, and then had decided that his best option was to go to Houston. Boy, what a move that was for the Astros. It's the same type of deal the Blue Jays pulled off when they acquired David Cone. And, you know, when you hear that kind of announcement, Blue Jays just got David Cone. Really? Those are hard trades to pull off this time of the year. But with Morales swinging the bat so well, and it'd be a tough deal to pull off. He's got a year on his contract, and that might be appealing to certain clubs.
Lined into center, a base hit for Cabrera. I think you could still conceivably see guys like Curtis Granderson dealt. Tyler Clippard could be a guy who gets dealt before the end of the month.
Specialty players where Granderson come off the bench, pinch hit, a veteran guy, you know, not a terrific defender as he was earlier in his career, but certainly a guy that you know can come off the bench. Tyler Clippard's really throwing the ball well right now. And he's an experienced guy that has closed in the past, got some postseason experience. All those things are factored in.
Maikel Franco. Franco hit a long two-run homer back in the third. He's also walked and popped up. The homer is 22nd on the season. Just missed. Marco Estrada 2+ innings today, gave up 5 runs on 7 hits. A tip of the cap to Justin Schaefer, who went 3 scoreless hitless innings, walked 1, struck out 1. Mesa worked to 6, now Petrichka in the 7th.
Yeah, Schaefer was really good. He walked 1, struck out 1 through 37 pitches in those 3 innings of work. And he started this good string of relief pitching. Mesa with a solid inning in the 6th, and now Petrichka's on.
Phillies at the end of their road trip, heading home for a week tomorrow. Keeping an eye on the Braves on the out-of-town scoreboard. Little number, but it's foul back of the plate. We'll do it all over again with a 2-2 count on Franco.
Braves are beating the Marlins. They're in the top of the 7th down in Miami. It's 1-0. Tampa Bay putting it on the Red Sox again. The Red Sox on the verge of losing 3 in a row. They're in the bottom of the 6th in St. Pete.
How good is Ronald Acuna Jr.? 2 more hits today. He's hitting .291. Got an OPS of about .950. He's 20 years old. Weak ground ball towards second. Gurriel shovels to Diaz and back to first for the double play.
Well, Unito came after that ball. It wasn't that sharply hit, and the only way they were going to turn it was for him to be aggressive. Watch how quickly he comes after this ball, recognizing it's not sharply hit, and then the shovel quick to Diaz, and he completes it. But Gurriel, making his 21st start at second, is all over this double play, and he can turn it over to the shortstop, Diaz, who has a cannon for an arm. The Cuban double play combination turns a good one.
Yep. 4-6-3, all three of them from Cuba. 2 down, and here's Herrera.
Another look at the double play, and they take a lot of pride in being on the field together with Morales playing at first base.
Still enjoying it in the middle infield. Gurriel, a guy who's known Morales for a long time. Morales, friends with the family, the older brothers of Lourdes Gurriel.
They all played in the Series Nacional in Cuba, which is their major leagues, and it's basically a winter league. It takes place in the wintertime, and it's very competitive, and they take a lot of pride in what they have done there, and obviously they played a lot against one another.
And a base hit through the left side for Herrera. So a 2-out single will bring up the number 9 hitter, Scott Kingery. Nobody up in the Blue Jays bullpen. This inning belongs to Jake Petrichka. That's one of those where Jansen was set up inside. Pitch was a little bit towards the outside part of the plate, and because he had to reach across his body, it didn't look like a strike, but it actually was. Gabe Kapler, an outfielder in his day in the big leagues, came up with the Tigers, played with the Red Sox and Rangers, among others. Retired at a young age and then became a minor league manager just for 1 year. And then came back and played a little bit more before he got into the front office, scouting development, running minor league systems and so forth. And I think for the past 5-6 years has always been seen as kind of a manager in waiting.
Yeah, he was last with the Dodgers in their minor league organization as he was a director of instruction and minor league coordinator. He did a great job with their minor league system, and now in his first year as a manager.
Ground ball for Gurriel, and he'll go to Morales at first to get Kingery and end the top of the 7th. 5-2 Phillies, Blue Jays coming up. Is the new pitcher for the Phillies. Guy who started the year as their closer, was sent down to the minors, now is back in pitching in setup situations for Philadelphia. Teoscar Hernandez is going to lead it off for the Blue Jays, and another example of how things have changed. Remember, the Blue Jays at the beginning of the year had the oldest roster in Major League Baseball. That is certainly changing. Now, Sean Reed-Foley's not with the team now, but he was and probably will be again in September. But a lot more guys with a 2 in that first column than a 3, which was the case earlier this year.
Yeah, and it's moving in the right direction for sure. When you look at the list of Baraki, Gurriel, Billy McKinney, Panone's 24, Teoscar's just 25. There are a lot of good things going on. And Aaron Sanchez, who made his start and his return off the DL, just 26 years old. So the future is very bright, and it's encouraging to see this many young players there contributing. We mentioned the 6 All-Stars at AA New Hampshire. I can't remember the last time the Blue Jays had that many All-Stars on one team in their minor league system. That really speaks volumes about how they're accumulating depth.
I think the Blue Jays, they're happy with the last couple of drafts that they've had, and also picked up a number of prospects, obviously, in the deals they made at the end of July. But like we said before, you can never have enough, because the plan never goes entirely according to plan.
No, there are going to be injuries. There's going to be ceilings hit. There's going to be guys that just don't blossom like you anticipated. I mean, just think about this. How many #1 picks have we seen in the past 5 years all around baseball that have never materialized? I mean, those are #1 picks. When you talk to a lot of baseball people, they say, you know, you got to really hit on your picks that are 5 through 20. Those are the guys that really add the depth to your system.
Hernandez having a tough day. He strikes out for the 3rd time. Aledmus Diaz, the batter. He's flied out to center and had a base hit to left. Another guy the Blue Jays are happy to have in the organization is Hector Perez, one of the pitchers they got on the Roberto Osuna deal. He's at AA right now. He struck out 25 in 20 2/3 innings for New Hampshire. Walks are high. He's walked 15 in 20 2/3. And that's kind of always been the book on him, is that the command is not where you want it to be. But obviously a big arm, big strikeout numbers. And if he can harness that command, they think he's got a future. He's pitching predominantly as a starter right now, but there's been some talk externally, just among analysts and so forth, that he might profile better as a reliever going forward.
The other pitcher that came in return is David Paulino, who's a 6'7" right-hander, and he was here this weekend is to have a medical checkup. But he's kind of interesting. He's had some big league time in the past.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Neris.
Ball might have been up. Well, with 2 strikes, you can't take any borderline pitches, and it looked like it was a bit of a cut fastball away. There's a little bit of a spin on it, and it's up and away. But Diaz chases. 2nd strikeout of the inning for Neris.
And back to the top of the order for Billy McKinney. Drives the ball to left field. Hoskins going back. It's over his head and it's off the wall. And McKinney is into second base with his 2nd hit and 2nd double of the afternoon.
Boy, the ball just jumps off his bat. That was such an easy swing, a very fluid swing. The ball was away from him. He stayed on it. That ball was about a foot from going out of the ballpark. Hit the padding at the top of the fence right in front of the Blue Jays bullpen. And that's an easy swing. The ball was away from him, and he thinks for a moment this ball's got a chance to get out of the yard, and certainly came close. But another double for McKinney, his 2nd of the day, 2nd of his career.
So he's in scoring position with 2 down for Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who's 0 for 2 with a walk. And quickly Neris jumps out in front 0-2.
That was the splitter, and a good one. Started out right at the bottom of the strike zone and then bottomed out.
And he got him with another one. So 3 strikeouts in the inning for Hector Neris. The McKinney double is left aboard. End of 7, a 5-2 Phillies. Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership, and it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership. Kendrys Morales did it again today. A 2-run homer, a new franchise record by homering in 7 consecutive games. He's now just 1 game shy of tying the all-time major league record. He'll go for that tomorrow night in Baltimore. Only offense of the day, though, for the Blue Jays. That home run, 5-2 Phillies. Tyler Clippard on for the 8th.
Clippard is making his 63rd appearance of the season, and he has thrown a total of 59 innings. Bonus hitting just 220 off Clippard. But he made a pretty significant adjustment to his approach. He's thrown a lot more fastballs. He's walked 18 and 69 strikeouts. And he's using his fastball very effectively. I asked him, I said, what made you go back to your fastball? He said, numbers. They were hitting too much off my off-speed pitches. And he said, when I was throwing good, I would throw about 60% fastballs. And that number has dropped down to just over 50%. So he's going to use his fastball more often. There's that straight changeup. That one missed. But he said they were hitting well against my changeup and my splitter. So I've gone back to a few more fastballs, and it's worked.
1-1 on Cesar Hernandez. 0 for 3 with a walk. Leadoff man for the Phillies today. There's another fastball, and it's fouled down the third base line. Russell Martin giving chase. Great effort, but can't quite get there. And then, well, he repairs his divot down the line as well.
You know, I think Russell's having a lot of fun playing third base. He's played it very well. And after years of being behind the plate, it's got to feel like a day off. And he's re-energized. Russell Muscle makes a nice effort. Just ran out of room over there. And he slams up against that padding. And then is gracious enough to put it back. He might have to come back and make another play over there. Danny Jansen thought that might have been a called strike, and I think he was right. That ball got away from him. That will be that splitter that Tyler throws from time to time. It looks like a slider. It'll just break in the same fashion as a breaking ball.
Didn't get the call, though, so it's 2-2. You saw Jansen 3 times there before the pitch came in. Another splitter was coming. Tapping the dirt with his glove, trying to emphasize the location that he wants from Clippard. Missed outside for ball 4. Let's get an update from Jamie. Jamie, Tyler O'Neill hitting in the cleanup spot today. The Burnaby, BC kid getting a chance to come back to the big leagues, and he's shown a little bit of power. And Matt Carpenter has had a Kendry Morales and then some type tear over the last couple of months for the Cardinals. St. Louis is back in playoff contention, leading the wild card race. And I think Carpenter's put himself into the MVP discussion.
Yeah, he has. He's 2 for 2 today with a pair of doubles. He's got 36 doubles now. And he had a streak of homering in 6 straight games that was tied with Morales until Kendricks went deep here this afternoon.
Carpenter's also got 34 home runs on the season. You hear Freddie Freeman's name in the MVP conversation. Nolan Arenado, he's always mentioned, always puts up big numbers, and Colorado's in the hunt this year. Javier Baez of the Cubs having a big season. Tell you, these two guys, they're having a good time. It's hot today. .92, and he got it right by Rhys Hoskins. Good fastball hitter.
Yeah, we talked about Hoskins being a better low ball hitter than a high ball hitter, so Cooper attacks him up in the zone. Hoskins started the scoring with that home run in the first. It is hot.
Yep. Eat your pizza and then keep the box and use it as a fan. Way foul. Way deep and way foul. You don't think you're getting a ball when you sit down in your seats up there. Phillies jumped down to a 5-0 lead. You got 2 in the first, another in the second, 2 more in the third. Hit 3 homers off Marco Estrada, one of them by this guy, Rhys Hoskins. Blue Jays got their runs on a 3rd inning home run by Kendrys Morales. Way inside.
Tyler got really on top of that pitch. He kind of turned that fastball over and ran way off the plate inside. Hoskins barely getting out of it. Actually, that's that splitter again, and you can see how it spins, and Tyler never really knows whether it's going to spin in that direction or cut more like a slider. But he will throw it gripping the ball on the seam, so he has the most positive grip possible with that splitter.
The 2-2. Laid off, full count. Eleven pitches thrown by Clippard so far, just 4 of them strikes, with Carlos Santana on deck. See if they put the runner in motion. There he goes. 3-2, lined into left field. That's a base hit. Cutting it off on a bounce, McKinney digging for third. Hernandez, throw is cut, and the Phillies have runners on the corners with nobody out.
Hoskins has reached base 4 times today. Home run, couple of walks, and now a single. As Hernandez went first to third, and this ball is sharply hit to left field. The batter is running on the pitch, and McKinney comes after it, gets back. Ball back quickly, and he is understanding he'd better keep the double play in order here.
Not going to get any easier with Santana at the plate right now. Homer to back in the first, 1 for 4 overall. Shift on, 3 on the right side. Only Russell Martin on the left side of the infield. Big hole, the natural shortstop spot. And a fly ball to left field. McKinney's got room. He'll make the catch, tagging at third. Hernandez will score easily. Throw comes into second, as it should, and that'll make sure that Hoskins stays at first.
Yeah, there was no chance at all to make a throw toward the plate. It was just too deep, and Santana picks up his second RBI of the afternoon. He homered in the first, and now he's got a sac fly here in the 8th.
And an insurance run for the Phillies to go up 6-2 as Joe Biagini, who got the win yesterday, starts to loosen up in the bullpen. Let's see what Clippard can do with Wilson Ramos, who is 3 for 4 today. If you can get him to hit it on the ground, it's almost an automatic double play. But as you have said on a couple of occasions, he's just a really good hitter. He's a tough out right now.
Yeah, he has hit well against the Blue Jays this season, and 3 hits today. He did not play yesterday. Ramos was in the lineup, had a sac fly and a base hit on Friday night. Blocked by Jansen. That ball was about 2 feet in front of home plate when it hit the dirt.
You like his technique on blocking?
Yeah, he's very good at that. He's very sound, and for a big guy, and he is a big kid, he's very quick back there. But this ball is out in front of home plate, and he squared it up, not trying to catch it, trying to play it with his chest protector, and did a good job. Those are tough ones on catchers because it hits so far away from you, you never really know where it's going to bounce.
Change up is low. 2 balls and a strike. Clippard signed as a free agent in the offseason, has handled a number of different roles in the bullpen, even has closed on occasion. Ken Giles closing now. 3-1. On deck, Nick Williams. Pete Walker checking on the status of Joe Biagini. Runner goes, and the pitch fouled back. The count's now full.
Well, good thing it was a foul ball. There was absolutely no chance. Chance was going to have a shot at throwing out Hoskins. He got a terrific jump. This is a running start. Watch how early he leaves before Clippard even lifted up that front foot.
There he goes, 3-2, and it's fouled off. So Hoskins getting his running in today.
Not exactly what you want to do in the 8th inning of a Sunday afternoon game on a hot day. Well, you got to run here with the batter, as you mentioned. He hits the ground ball. It's an automatic double play. Ramos does not run well at all. And he's still supporting that injured hamstring that had him on a DL for a long time.
3-2 on Ramos. Clippard to come set. Runner not going this time, and the pitch is drilled to deep right center field. Pilar giving chase, turning, and he'll watch it go. That ball is gone. 2-run homer for Ramos, his 4th hit of the ball game, and it's now 8-2 Phillies.
For Ramos, that's his first home run as a member of the Phillies. He hit 14 playing for Tampa Bay. That's his 15th home run of the season. The 4th home run the Phillies have hit this afternoon here at Rogers Center.
And that's going to be all for Clippard. Walk, base hit, sac fly, home run. Ramos blows it open and making it 8-2. Clippard is going to leave, and Joe Biagini will enter for the Blue Jays. Our guest from one of TD's community partners. Second day in a row, Joe Biagini comes in for the Blue Jays.
Joe threw 20 pitches in his inning of work. He gave up a leadoff double, but he then struck out the next 2 batters and got out of the inning unscathed. They gave up that double to Odubel Herrera. So he'll come on with nobody on and 1 out, trying to finish out this 8th inning.
Joe again wearing the Joe the Great jersey, a Seinfeld reference. We told you the story yesterday. It's not like he's out there thinking he's hot stuff or anything like that. He's just a big Seinfeld fan and picked a moment out of an episode and kind of tweaked it around a little bit to get the Joe the Great nickname. Here's Nick Williams for the Phillies. Two and 0. This is something Blue Jay pitchers, not all of them, but some of them today have been doing too much this afternoon, just falling behind.
Yeah. When you look at the outing by Schaefer, he was very good over 3 innings. His longest outing of his young career through 37 pitches. Didn't allow a hit, didn't walk better. Check that. He walked 1 and struck out 1. But it's really taxing on your bullpen when your starter can't get it out in the 3rd, and that was the case today with Marco. Marco had a tough outing today.
You know, we got an update from Jamie earlier in that St. Louis Cardinal game. They also had a play. You know, a guy who's changed the feel of the Cardinals is Harrison Bader, who's gone to the outfield, a tremendous speed guy. And in that game against Colorado today, he scored from second to base on a ground ball to second. He just kept rounding third. Throw went to first, and he came in to score.
Yeah, he's given him a boost of energy for sure. playing a lot of center field, doing a great job out in the outfield. Cardinals kind of came out of nowhere, and now they've made themselves prominent in that National League postseason picture. St. Louis 4 back of the Cubs, and the Cubs have won 4 in a row. They're up 6-0 over Cincinnati at home in the 5th.
And a base hit into center field for Williams. The Phillies are taking out their frustration on the Blue Jays today.
Well, the Phillies have out hit the Blue Jays in all 3 of these games. The Blue Jays have just gotten big hits, and home runs have made up the difference. Now they have 13 hits to the Blue Jays 6.
Ed Kapler's got to like the way that his team has responded to the loss yesterday. The batter now is Drupal Cabrera. He's had a productive day. He's 2 for 4 as a single and a double. Only Ken Giles and Ryan Tepera remain in the Blue Jay bullpen. Tepera pitched 2 days ago. Giles has pitched each of the last 2 days. So there's no way, obviously, Ken Giles is going to come into this game under any situation. I'm sure John Gibbons would love Biagini to be able to finish it if he can, try to get 5 outs somehow. But Tepera might be needed. This all taxes the bullpen heading into the series in Baltimore starting tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's a concern you have when you go this deep into your bullpen, with Tepera and Giles being the only relievers that haven't pitched here today. But I thought Tim Mayza had a nice inning of work after 2 good innings yesterday. He came right back and threw the ball with the same type of velocity and a good slider again.
Swing and a miss. 96 on that fastball. 1-2. Now there's bigger fella. Big fella Rhys Hoskins, been a big part of the series for the Phillies. Looks like Tommy Hunter might get into the game. Popped him up. Martin's got a long run because the shift was on, and he's there to make another good play in foul territory.
That is a tough play for any infielder, especially with Russell playing basically a straightaway shortstop. A long run, and you get over there and the ball's getting closer and closer to you, and has a tendency to bounce when you run this far. There's where Martin starts, right at straightaway shortstop. He's the only one that has a shot at making this catch, and he's able to make a running catch. That's a terrific effort by Russell. And he's looking more and more comfortable every day.
Here's Maikel Franco. Franco is 1 for 3 with a walk. The one was a 2-run homer back in the 3rd inning. Runner at first, 2 down now. And the pitch, a fastball in just above the knees for a called strike. Going to be interesting to see how the Blue Jays look at Biagini after the season heading into 2019. I mean, he's under control for a while still, and he's had some good moments in relief this year as he gets reacclimated to the bullpen. But maybe in the kind of spot where he's coming into camp trying to compete for a job at the outset of the next season. Chopper towards third, and that one will go foul. 0-2.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the situation with a lot of the bullpen spots, of course. You think with Giles, he's kind of pretty well set in the back end of that bullpen. Same for Ryan Tepera. He's going to be factored into the back end of the bullpen. But there are a lot of unanswered questions about who's going to be your left-handers. What's the makeup of the bullpen? And the bullpen is probably the most fluid part of any ball club. I don't care who you are. from year to year, it changes dramatically according to the use, the previous season, the health of your pitchers, and you can go out and shop around and bring in a lot of prospective arms for your bullpen each offseason.
Off the end of the bat, he fouls it off to stay alive at 0-2.
Yeah, I think Joe obviously has had the most success in his career working out of the bullpen, going back to his rookie season a couple of years ago. And it has been a transition for him. He wanted to be a starter. The Blue Jays wanted him to start. That didn't go so well. Now he's transitioned back into a regular relief role. And he's had some good moments and he's had some bad moments. But I think next year he'll be in that competition to fill out the bullpen.
Curveball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And off the glove of Jansen to the backstop. The wild pitch will send Williams to second.
That ball ran down and away, and that allows the base runner to move up into scoring position. And it just looked like he overcooked that fastball. Jansen a little late reacting to it. It goes off his glove, but it will be scored. A wild pitch charged to Biagini.
Outside, says Chad Whitson. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Odubel Herrera on deck. And as always, Biagini just takes an inordinate amount of time between pitches, and that's why hitters step out and ask for time sometimes. And again, they have tried to work with him to get quicker, but it just doesn't seem to be taking. Got him. Franco down on strikes. 8-2 Phillies going to the bottom of the 8th. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Here are Jamie Campbell and Cliff Floyd in the Samsung broadcast studio. Honda Odyssey with available Honda Vac. It always bats cleanup.
Well, there's no question about the drive of the game today. Comes off the bat of Kendrys Morales. It was a 2-run home run in the 3rd inning, and that extends his home run streak to 7 straight games with a home run. It came off the bat at 107 miles an hour. Traveled 402 feet, and he made a lot of happy fans here at Rogers Center today. It's a new franchise record for consecutive games with a home run. It's one shy of the all-time mark in the major leagues. Kendrys Morales with that drive of the game back in the 3rd inning.
But that's all the offense for the Blue Jays today. They're down 8-2. Morales will lead off the bottom of the 8th against a new pitcher for the Phillies, Tommy Hunter.
Big Tommy Hunter, as you know, he's got that big fella name. He is the bigger fella on the back of his jersey. He's got a big fastball and always has.
Phillies got 5 innings from Vince Velasquez. A scoreless inning from Luis Garcia, scoreless inning from Hector Neris, and now Hunter facing Morales. After Kendrys, Kevin Pillar and Randall Grichuk.
Tommy Hunter, originally a #1 pick of the Texas Rangers. He went to Baltimore. And he has bounced around from then. He signed in 2013 as a free agent with the Phillies.
Another example of a guy who, when they moved him to the bullpen, all of a sudden a little bit extra on the fastball, has had some pretty good years in the bullpen, and a couple of really good years in the bullpen for Baltimore back in 2013 and 14. Up and in, full count.
Yeah, he was a starter early on in his career, and that transition to the bullpen has been a pretty good one for him. He's got perfect arm for that, and you mentioned his velocity. It's jumped up since he's gone to the pen. He'll average over 95 with that fastball, and he loses the first batter he faces here in the 8th.
Cutter down and in, ball 4, and Morales is aboard. And Rhys Hoskins and Tommy Hunter having a little bit of fun with Players Weekend.
Yeah. The big fella's in left, the bigger fella's on the mound, and he obviously wears a bigger number as well, number 96, and he's a big fella, big man.
There's a ground ball down to 3rd off the bat of Pollard, a second one, and on to 1st, double play. Dodgers Padres coming up after the conclusion of this game here on Sportsnet. Big one for the Dodgers, but they all figure to be big games for the Dodgers down the stretch as they try to qualify for the playoffs.
Dodgers find themselves in 3rd place in the National League Central, 2.5 games back of the leaders, the Diamondbacks and the Rockies.
Did you see Brad Boxberger's Players Weekend jersey?
That's pretty creative.
As Randall Grichuk takes a strike, Boxberger had a couple of emojis up where a name should be. One was a box, one was a burger.
Very clever.
Yeah, why not? Let them do what they want to do. Have fun for a weekend, express themselves however they want. Back to normal tomorrow.
You know who'd be happy about that? The equipment managers.
Yeah. This is popped up in foul territory. And he just never got a good read on that ball.
Nah, he just jogged over there, and that ball hit on the warning track. I don't know what he was thinking about. But the ball lands safely on the warning track, and Grichuk will have another swing. I mean, he just never cast his mask aside. He just kind of gave it a courtesy look and really didn't put much of an effort behind it at all. Just kind of comes over and looks at it and never really expects it to come down. And here it is right there. It's a catchable play.
One ball, 2 strikes on to Grichuk with 2 down here in the bottom of the 8th. 28,209 in attendance here at Rogers Center this afternoon as Grichuk takes a little bit upstairs. Randall's 1 for 2 with a walk today. And he drills a ball to left field. And Ramos not making that play cost his team a run as Grichuk hits it out.
Boy, absolutely, and the bigger fellow is not too happy about that. That should have been the third out of the inning, the pop-up that landed in foul ground on the warning track. And Randall Grichuk makes the most of it. I mean, that wasn't much of an effort by Ramos, the catcher. He just moseyed over there and gave it a courtesy look, and the ball landed in foul territory and bounced out of play, and Grichuk took full advantage of it. He got another chance.
Number 18 for Randall Grichuk, and it's 8-3. Here's Russell Martin, 1 for 3 on the day.
Oh, Randall's got tremendous power, and he had a good fastball out over the plate, a low liner over the fence in left field. He's had a good second half. Well, those are the things that really have a tendency to linger. That play by Ramos, the catcher. Yeah, I got 3 hits today, and I know it's a lopsided score, but those are the plays that are going to cost you down the stretch. And we had talked about the Phillies catchers. They've committed 19 errors this season. They have not played well. And when you play tight games and you hope to get into the postseason, those types of plays are going to come back and haunt you.
Martin with a ground ball to short, backhanded by Kingery. Throw is there. And that's all for the Blue Jays in the bottom of the 8th. Randall Grichuk with a home run, number 18 on the season. But at the end of 8, the Phillies still lead 8-3.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by Honda at the Model Clearout event. The real victory lap is the drive home.
Tomorrow night, the Blue Jays begin a 3-game series in Baltimore, and Kendrys Morales will be trying for a little bit of history. If he homers in that game tomorrow, he'll become just the 4th player ever to homer in 8 consecutive ball games.
That'll be a great night to watch Kendrys Morales, who'll be in Baltimore to take on the Orioles. And I believe it'll be David Hess for the Orioles against Sam Gaviglio. So that record will be on the line tomorrow night from Baltimore.
Curveball from Joe Biagini starts Odubel Herrera with a strike here in the top of the 9th inning. Herrera today is 1 for 3 with a walk. He'll be followed by Scott Kingery and then Cesar Hernandez. When he's got all 3 pitches going, you look at the mix and you just say to yourself, this is a guy who should be consistently successful at the big league level.
Yeah, he needs to command his pitches more consistently. That's the big thing that's keeping Joe from having consistent success, is the ability to throw strikes with all 3 pitches and do it on a regular basis. I mean, we see spurts of it. We see glimpses of it in short spurts.
And a soft liner to second, caught by Gurriel, 1 down. And there we saw the 3 pitches in that at bat against Herrera.
Gurriel, as we mentioned earlier, making his 21st start at second. Looks quite comfortable there. He and Diaz teamed up for a terrific double play in the 7th. And this time he takes away a hit from Herrera with a little soft liner he makes the catch on.
Scott Kingery is 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored today. And he'll foul off a first pitch fastball, 0-1. Looking ahead of the bottom of the 9th, the Blue Jays will send up Danny Jansen, Teoscar Hernandez, and Aledmus Diaz. They're down 8-3 right now. And will need a miraculous bottom half of the 9th, or their 5-game winning streak will come to an end. Sir Anthony Dominguez will be coming on for the Phillies. "13 hits for the Phillies today, 7 for the Blue Jays. 14 hits for the Phillies today. First of the afternoon for Kingery.
As we mentioned earlier, the Phillies have out-hit the Blue Jays in all 3 games of this series, but it appears as though Blue Jays are going to take 2 of 3. So they've had a good homestand. They swept the Orioles, and we'll play the Orioles again tomorrow night. Here's a look at that pitch from Biagini. Just didn't get down and in as he had hoped to. That didn't run inside as his previous fastballs have.
And now Cesar Hernandez 0 for 3 with a couple of walks. He's coming up for the 6th time here this afternoon. Blue Jay pitchers have walked 7 batters on the day. Ground ball to short. Diaz will take it himself and complete the double play. So we go to the bottom of the 9th. Last chance for the Blue Jays, coming up trailing 8-3. Game today because there's more baseball coming up here on Sportsnet. The Los Angeles Dodgers hosting the San Diego Padres, with the Dodgers in a real fight both within their own division and in the wild card race. They're the defending National League champs, trying to get back to the postseason here in 2018. Sir Anthony Dominguez back on the mound 1 day after kind of a rough outing as Gabe Kapler tries to restore a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, he had a rough outing. He came in to close out the 7th inning and struck out Justin Smoke to end that inning, but then he gave up a hit, walked a batter, and hit a batter, and he was charged with 3 runs. So right back on the horse, Danny Jansen leads things off.
Jansen, Hernandez, and Diaz here in the bottom of the 9th. Jansen's 0 for 3. 10 for 29 as a Blue Jay. Jansen, of course, about to play more baseball than he ever has because the minor league seasons end on or around Labor Day, and he'll get an extra month of baseball, as all the young guys will. And not only will he be getting an extra month of baseball, but he's going to play a lot in that extra month. So he's got a little pad on his left elbow. Took a pitch off that left elbow yesterday.
Yeah, he took a shot right on the point of that elbow, so he's got a little protection on that today. I was kind of surprised he was in there today. I thought he might be a little bit too sore to get in there, but it's so difficult for a young guy. You don't want to give up any opportunities.
Dominguez strikes him out at a 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
Big arm for Sir Anthony Dominguez as he blows away Danny Jansen. That four-seam fastball, a little cutting action on it. Dominguez is just 23 years old. He's got a big fastball, and he's kind of taken over important situations in that bullpen, and he's got the arsenal to do it. That one was 99.
And up in the zone where pitchers have been throwing fastballs a lot to Teoscar Hernandez. Kind of a typical way to go with a young right-handed batter. Up with a fastball, down and away with a slider. And Hernandez has a couple of holes he's trying to cover right now.
That used to be our standard name for our batter meetings. Up and away, down and in. You know, down and in, up and away. That's the old way you attack hitters. There's another fastball at 98.
Hernandez has struck out in his first 3 at-bats today. And he is striking out at a bit of an alarming clip over the last 7-8 weeks or so, as that one is in and out of the mid of Ramos. So Teoscar's still alive. You know, again, as you think ahead to playing time tomorrow night, a righty on the mound for Baltimore. Again, you figure McKinney's going to be back in there. He's had a good day today, left-handed bat. And the strikeout, 4th time today for Hernandez. And Teoscar might have to earn his way back into regular duty here over the last month of the season.
Yeah, you would think so, especially with the way McKinney has come on and hit since he's come up, as Teoscar has a 4-strikeout day for the 2nd time this season. This is a hard breaking ball, tight spin down and away, and he strikes out swinging.
So the Blue Jays are down to their final out. Aledmus Diaz is the batter. 1 for 3. Blue Jays and Orioles tomorrow night. Blue Jays Central at 6:30. First pitch just after 7 o'clock. Sam Gaviglio and David Hess.
Blue Jays beat David Hess on Wednesday night here, 6-0. Thomas Pannone, the author of that time. That was actually Wednesday afternoon. Gaviglio had a 7-inning outing against the Orioles and picked up his 3rd win of the season. But tomorrow night the focus will be on Kendrys Morales.
Looking for some baseball history. Look out. Tell you, Dominguez is not messing around today. Morales homering today, 7 games in a row. The big league record is 8. He'll be looking to tie that tomorrow night at Camden Yards. Pretty good hitter's ballpark. Popped up at a shallow left. Kingery is out there. And the Phillies take the final game of the series by a score of 8-3. The Blue Jay winning streak is snapped at 5. They'll hop on a plane now and start a week-long road trip going to Baltimore and Miami for a 3-game series in each town.
Yeah, and the only good thing that happened today was the Kendrys Morales home run. That was the almost full extent of the offense, as Morales had a 2-run home run in the 3rd inning that extends his streak to 7 straight games with a home run. Billy McKinney with 2 more hits today, a pair of doubles. He went 2 for 3 with a walk, and Randall Grichuk hit that home run as well. So the Phillies salvaged the final game of this 3-game series, and they will head back to Philadelphia.
Let's send you back to the studio. Some Blue Jays Central coming your way. Here at the ballpark, Jamie Campbell is along with Kevin Barker and Cliff Floyd.